Okay, calling to order this Board of Education meeting for Sacramento Unified School District. Superintendent, roll call.
Member Jean.
Here.
Member Kayada.
Here.
Member Pritchett. Here. Member Rhodes.
Present.
Member Villa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. Do we have, before going into closed session, do we have any public comment?
There is none.
Okay, seeing that there is none, we will move into closed session. Calling to order this Board of Education meeting for Sacramento Unified School District. We're going to start with item 4.1, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. All right. Going to item 4.2, broadcast statement. Feel free.
This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded and will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse. Today's meeting will be aired Sunday, November 5th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, November 8th at 12 p.m. It is also webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and can be viewed on Metro 14's YouTube channel. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form, which are located in the back room, and give them to our communications representative, along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you. Now going to item 4.3, stellar student introduction by Superintendent Allen.
Thank you, President Rhodes. Today we are recognizing students from both Pacific Elementary and Bowling Green Chacon, who not only learned about sustainability and environmental justice in their classes last year, but took action on issues they identified at their school. After collecting and analyzing data in their classrooms and schoolyards, each class designed a data-driven solution, then applied for and were awarded EcoRise mini grants to create positive, lasting change in their school communities. Specifically, we would like to recognize, and I'm going to have you come up. First, I would like to recognize Ms. Chavez Mendoza's class at Chacon. Are you here? Come on up. Thank you. Ms. Chavez Mendoza's class at Chacon, who created a sensory play space in their schoolyard that they are calling the Kinder Garden. They took nature walks outside and collected data to better understand their schoolyard needs, and then converted almost 4,000 square feet of their campus into a sensory garden for their students to learn from and enjoy. Thank you, Ms. Chavez Mendoza's class. Let's give them a hand. Yay! Now, you can stay there, but we're going to call up more. Is that okay? All right. Miss O'Brien and Mr. Martinez class at Chacon, are you here? Come on down. Come on down. Wonderful. Miss O'Brien and Mr. Martinez's class at Chacon, who found a student-driven solution to littering on campus. With their grant, they created a system for students to easily dispose of recess trash and are providing opportunities for all students to participate in keeping their campus litter-free. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien and Ms. Martinez class. Thank you. Yes. Okay. There's two more. Miss Betancourt's class at Pacific, are you here? Come on down. Thank you. Miss Betancourt's class at Pacific, who created signs in their pollinator garden to educate the school community on the importance of bees in the environment. They also created informational murals to help reduce radiant heat from their blacktop, hoping to reduce the heat island effect on their schoolyard by 4 to 13 degrees during the sunny, hot day. Thank you, Ms. Betancourt's class at Pacific. All right. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Martin's class at Pacific. Are you here? It's okay. We're going to read anyway. Come on. Yay. Wonderful. These students identified 3 environmental issues that they wanted to take on. They designed signs in their organic campus orchard to educate students about healthy eating and local fruits and vegetables. They also created an incentive program to divert milk cartons from landfills, aiming to divert 9,000 pounds of food waste from landfills each year. They also built an energy-efficient classroom habitat, hoping to save about 51,000 kilowatt hours of energy per year. Thank you, Mr. Martin's class at Pacific. It is my pleasure to award the Stellar Student Awards to these passionate and forward-thinking students at Chacon and Pacific Elementary. You have worked together to identify and take action on pressing environmental changes at your school, and you were successful in changing the school culture, climate, and landscape in doing so. Thank you for your collaboration and hard work. You are truly leaders and change makers in your efforts to create a more just and sustainable world. Let's give them love, everyone.
And then please do not go sit down. We have some certificates, and the board's going to come and take a picture with you as well. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? My son told me yesterday night. Yeah, I think he's in 10th grade, but his progress report coming. He's like, I don't know. He's like, almost serious. That's like a real letter. It's just trying to get good grades. Yeah. So and he's only in 10th grade, and he's just like, kind of stressed out.
Hey, you know how to turn that mic on?
Yeah.
It's on.
Waiting. Okay, you're ready. It's on. Make sure you say your name and what school you're from, and then do your speech.
It's on?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Ready? Well, let's wait for her to sit down.
Okay.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Elena Garcia. I'm in the 5th grade at Bowling Green Chacon Language and Science Academy, and this is our progress on keeping Chacon clean. Ever since we've received the grant, our campus has had much less litter. On campus, we have 5 garbage cans that get very full, meaning garbage is being thrown away and not left on the ground. Now, we even have younger students wanting to help pick up litter, which makes me and other students proud. We can make a difference in keeping our campus clean.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Hold it, you breathe, okay? I got it.
Hello, my name is Azriel, and I was a student. Miss Travis' class, we did a garden at our school. We came up with a list of things that we had: seeds, vegetables, and flowers. We were able to plant our vegetables and flowers in our school garden. Thank you for Miss Travis' class and everyone for doing this.
Public comment? Yeah, I didn't ask. Oh, yes. The more friends, the merrier.
My name is Michael. My name is Michael, and I came here to say hi.
Hi. Hi.
Okay.
Great job, Michael. Thank you for saying hi. Nobody said hi to me all day, so this is very big. It's very big for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Beautiful, beautiful. Do we have any public comment around this topic?
How about announcements?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I want to say something about the group here, and I don't know if my colleagues want to say anything either. But thank you guys all for being here tonight. Pack room is a beautiful way to start a Board of Education meeting. Thank you to the families. As you guys celebrate your students, we also celebrate you. You guys are here to uplift your students, and it's a beautiful thing. So I just once again thank you guys for being here today, for the students, but also I know you guys are at Chacon, so a los padres que están aquí para apoyarles sus hijos también es bien importante. So muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes por estar con nosotros hoy. So thank you guys so much. It means so much to be here tonight. So thank you guys once again. All right. Anyone on my board want to say anything? This is just amazing. Nothing? Cool. So, can we go to item 5.0, actions taken in closed session?
Hi, President Rhodes.
Hello. Thank you for saying hello to me. First time was today. Now you're the second.
There are 5 announcements coming out of closed session this evening. First, the board approved a special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-080243 by a vote of 7-0. Second, the board approved another special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-080037, also by a vote of 7-0. Third, the board approved a special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-080128 by a vote of 7-0. Interim Superintendent Allen will make the remaining announcements.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. I am pleased to announce that the board approved the following appointments. By a vote of 7-0, the board approved the appointment of Dr. Edward Eldridge as the Executive Director of LCAP. And also by a vote of 7-0, the board approved the appointment of Holly Buckley as Principal of Health Professions High School.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to item 6.0. So for agenda adoption, today we're actually going to pull item 9.4 and bring that back at request of staff to future Board of Education meeting. Once again, we're going to pull item 9.4 from request of staff to move to a upcoming board meeting. Do we have a move and second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Beautiful, beautiful. Agenda adoption approved. Now we're going to go into public comment. Do we have any public comment today?
We do, sir. We have one public comment tonight.
Okay. Who is that individual?
Amy De La Salle.
Amy De La Salle. Hello, Ms. De La Salle. Floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Last time I was here was 5 weeks ago. It was my first public comment. It was about literacy. I hope to see you all as often as I can, maybe monthly. So it's been 5 weeks since then, and a lot has happened in the literacy world. There have been 2 summits that I know of. One of them was today, and I've been so immersed in it that I really can't even give you a theme. There is everything going on, but I'm very optimistic, and it's very exciting. And I hope other parents can come up and do comments at a future meeting about literacy, because we all need to read. I'm going to leave you with a fun fact about today's summit. A Sacramentan was talked about success in Tennessee. Her name is Penny Schwinn, and she was a former commissioner of education for Tennessee, and they have made tremendous strides in literacy improvements. And so she talked to, I think, 700 attendees today about literacy developments, and it was wonderful. So I hope to see you all out in the literacy world, and if you want a parent to come do an info dump on you, I'm available, and I'll follow up with a letter as usual. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's the end of our public comment?
It is.
All right, we're gonna go to item 8.0, Communication Employee Organization Report, SCTA. Hello, Nikki. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Allen. I'm Nikki Malevsky, President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. And for the past several years, we have been working very hard to move the district in the direction of implementing community schools, following the 6 pillars of the National Education Association and the 4 pillars recommended by the state of California. We are excited to hear that later in this meeting, the board members will be making their appointments to the district-wide Community School Steering Committee. We are also proud to have SCTA represented educators on the district-wide Community Schools Committee, and wanted to announce that representing SCTA on that committee will be Shanna Just, a science teacher from Luther Burbank High School, Na Lee Hine from our school nurse, Ian Moore, who's a special ed teacher at Rosa Parks, and Melanie Bean, who's an ELA training specialist. So we're very excited to have them representing us on that committee. We are highly motivated to get this important work started. and look forward to working with the district to get community schools' local school site committees up and running. And additionally, we have resumed negotiations with the district related to the reopener on Article 12, which is wages, Article 17, which is class size and staffing, and Article 8, which is about transfers. The discussions have been productive, and although it is ambitious, we are still hoping to meet our goal of having an agreement by November 15th. We hope to be back here in 2 weeks to be able to announce a settlement. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Nikki. Next organization report will be from SEIU. How you doing, my brother?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well. I had two people say hello. The third person say hello to me today. Thank you.
I hope you get a lot more tonight. I'm Jim Riffle. I'm the vice president of the local chapter of SEIU 10 to 1. I'm here to talk about two things. First one is minimum wages. I'm not going to state a number. I'm not going to state anything like that. But we all know that external forces are creating minimum wages in outside companies, outside entities. If we do not match those, we will be losing employees. You know right now that we have people living out of their cars with their families. They will be happy to go to a different company with a minimum wage that's been advertised. If we do a minimum wage later than them, we're still going to be losing employees. Some of our employees are legally required to be in the classroom. That means you have to go to agency aides, and that is extremely expensive. You could easily hire or maintain 3 aides for what you get from 1 agency aide. And I can guarantee you that the aides that work for this district care about the children and their education a whole lot more than an agency aide that comes for the money, and that's it. Guaranteed. Okay, the second thing, that's all I'm going to say about minimum wages. The second thing is we are having trouble with an HR director at this point. We don't think we get fair representation or directions from this director. And at this point, SEIU will no longer will be working with her. We're demanding somebody else deal with our issues. I have recently been in a representation with this person, and she came in instantly knowing what the outcome was going to be. She already made up her mind what was going to happen. She only was there to get a confession from the employee. That's not how we do things here. At least I hope it's not how we do things here. Now, we made a complaint, and we know that Concy McCarn is aware of this, and she has made overtures to talk with us about this and help us to get over the problem. But you have to know that we can't be going on with this. That's it. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to go to TCS. Welcome.
Well, see, since I represent both Teamsters and TCS, I should get 6 minutes, but I probably won't take that tonight.
The 6 minutes is yours, sir.
Okay. In any case, it was great seeing these children being all excited. It was great seeing teachers that are lighting those children up. It takes a teacher here and there along your path to really get motivated and to want to stay in school and finish it. And I hope I see a whole lot more of that. I hope this board supports that. To echo the first comment from the person from SEIU, you're going to have a lot of issues as minimum wage goes up and minimum wage compaction. My plant managers, the SPOMs here, they supervise SEIU custodians, and it's hard to get them. I want to add another problem with this district on this, and I usually sit there and talk about how great things are because I try to work collaboratively with this district. One place that I think that every bargaining unit. I don't specifically speak with permission from the other 3 bargaining units, but from what I'm hearing, every bargaining unit is having problem getting paid properly. My custodians that are underneath my plant managers, the custodians that are SEIU, don't want to work overtime because they're not getting paid. My plant managers don't want to stick around afterwards and work overtime because they're not getting paid. And it's not just the overtime issue. And so one of the things you will see in both my Teamsters and my TCS proposals that you probably haven't seen from any of the other bargaining units before, I want you to understand it's a serious proposal, that's portion, which is penalty pay. If you can't get paid your check, you make your expenses based on your income, and when you don't get the income that you're due, whether it's the right income, like you're making great money or you're just barely getting by, whatever that income is, it's yours, and it's sacred to people to be paid and paid properly on time, and that's not happening. With the exception of that, I look forward to bargaining with the district. We've got a long time, good relations, and I'd like to keep it that way. I hate being one of the complainers tonight, but that payroll issue across this district really, really, truly needs to get fixed. Thank you very much, and look at that, I had extra time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we heard from Teamsters as well, and we're gonna go to UPE if they're in the building. Nope, okay. So we're gonna go to 8.2, District Advisory Committees. SAC. Okay. The CAC. Okay. District English Learner Advisory Committee. LCAP. BAAB. Okay. Now going to item 9.1, approve resolution number 3360, National School Bus Safety Week. Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill and Company.
Yes.
It's the name of the new band.
Did you say dance?
Band.
Band, okay.
Oh.
Good evening, Board President Rhodes, Superintendent Allen. My name is Ron Hill, Director of Transportation Services. With me tonight, actually to my left, is Ms. Cassandra Wills, one of our school bus drivers of more than 27 years with our district, serving our special needs students, and also a shop steward with SEIU, part of our leadership team. Next to her is Olivia Miner, started off as a bus driver, is now part of our team of dispatchers and schedulers. So pretty much everything that happens and comes through our department goes through our dispatch department, which is the heart of the operation. She's also a shop steward of SEIU for our department. And then to my right is Cheryl Jardine. She's our transportation fleet specialist. She's one of 2 folks that run the operation within our district. As you know, we are basically a 12-and-a-half-hour operation. We open up at 4:45 in the morning, and we close about 5:30 in the afternoon. So we have 2 shifts that are constantly moving under 2 fleet specialists that manage that. So with them present, I would like to go ahead and present Resolution 3360. Which is National School Bus Safety Week. Just want to make sure I'm doing this right here. A couple weeks ago, U.S. Celebrated its 48th annual National School Bus Safety Week. Sac City Unified School District Transportation is currently celebrating almost 60 years of impeccable transportation services to our students in our community, as depicted by this picture that's on the screen. That was 60 years ago in 1963. National School Bus Safety Week is a crucial time for all of us to remember the important role that transportation plays in the education of our students. Riding the school bus builds social skills, friendships, self-confidence, as well as self-esteem. We encourage our staff to greet every student with a smile and a kind word. As we frequently hear, school bus drivers can set the daily tone for a student. Children are not our only learners. School bus drivers are currently and constantly acquiring new skills to stay ahead of the game, sharing new ideas, concepts as it relates to pupil management, which ultimately makes that bus more secure and a pleasant space for our students. Lastly, our student transportation team spent the week offering and conducting hands-on training focused around driver and student safety. We also completed the annual school bus evacuation training required by law for every student who rides a school bus in the state of California. Our transportation team is driven and devoted to provide our students the safest, most enjoyable form of transportation available. So we thank you for this resolution, and we are available for any questions or comments that you may have.
Thank you so much. First off, do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
Okay. Do we have any comments, thoughts from my colleagues? Okay, we're going to go first with Member Jean.
Just want to say the work you do is so vital, so important, making sure our kids get safely from their homes to our schools. And you're up before everyone, and you're generally there after them all. And I just want to give huge props to all the incredible work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Jean. Member Pritchett.
Yeah, ditto. She just stole my words from my mouth. Just thank you. I just say thank you for all the work that you do. I often see you in the buses on Highway 50 in the morning, driving to work in the morning, and the crazy woman in the car, waving at the bus drivers just to say, just to say hi, as I'm driving down the freeway, just to, I don't know if they see me or not, but just to thank you for the work that you do.
All right, so this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve? Second. Motion is second. We're gonna do a roll call. Superintendent? Thank you. Man, apologies. Student preferential?
Aye. Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you guys so much for all the work you did. Okay, going to item 9.2, approval of resolution number 3364, recognition of Veterans Day by Board Member Pritchett.
Thank you. And do we have Gamine Curry and Erin Jones here? Hi. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. So I have the pleasure of introducing Board Resolution number 3364 in recognition of Veterans Day, and which is always a pleasure of mine. I am a wife and a daughter of a veteran, so it's always a nice resolution for me to do. So, whereas the United States of America was founded on the principles of liberty and opportunity and justice for all. Hi. And whereas America has called on men and women in uniform to protect our national security, to advance our securities and interests, and to preserve our rights and freedoms. And whereas on Veterans Day, we recognize the men and women and of our armed forces and of past and present who have valiantly defend these values throughout our nation's history. And whereas serving as educators, support staff, administrators, parents, and in other important capacities, these patriots have made contributions in civilian life that serves as a testament to their dedication to the welfare of our country. And now therefore be it resolved, the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education recognized Veterans Day on the 11th day of November and calls for educators, students, parents, and community partners to honor it. and the special men and women who have served our country with lessons, guest speakers, displays, lectures, and other activities throughout our district and community. Thank you for your service. Do we have any public comment? I don't want to take your.
Yeah, you didn't want to, but you did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Do we have
no
any
public comment.
Public comment. Setting none. Okay. Going to my colleagues. Do we have any of my colleagues? Member Phillips.
The room gets eerily quiet as Member Phillips takes the mic. I will never not recognize a veteran. I will never not recognize somebody who is willing to give up their autonomy to fight for what's right in this country. But not to y'all, but I know if you are brown and black, our military service sometimes was something you might have had to do. Maybe not so much today. But in speaking to my colleagues, and this first line that says the United States of America was founded on the principles of liberty, opportunity, and justice for all, I just want to make sure that, going forward, that we truly recognize that y'all know it's not what it is. So I'm trying, I don't know, respectability politics or something. It always sounds good on paper, but we have to be very honest and truthful in what we put in our record. So knowing the United States was not founded this way for all, I would love that we would just be honest in that. This is not an attack on anyone personally. This is not about anybody who wrote this before, previously, or made modifications to it now. But America is a place where we are defending the honor and liberty for all at this point, but not in the beginning. So when we talk about how we were founded, we got to be honest about how we started so that we know why we are where we are today and where we can be in the future. But short of that, I'm going to let everybody else speak, and then I'll probably move.
Thank you, Member Phillips. Do we have any other my colleagues who would like to hop in the queue? Okay. Seeing that we have none, do we have a motion to move forward? Motion, second. Motion and a second. Roll call vote. Student preferential. Huh? You can abstain. Yeah, you can abstain.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Phillips? Aye. Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you for your service.
Would you like to say something?
Good. 22 years in the district.
That's
Gave me my work ethics, is what it gave me.
Beautiful.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I have a beautiful resolution. I'd like to come down if we'd like to go down and take a picture with
Yes,
them.
yes.
That'd be great.
Let's do it.
I walk in and the boss is like, I need you now. That's. I know your son.
Tony, Travis. Yes, Travis.
You can't just stand there. You might as well get on.
I'll be
Make sure now.
doing a very good
Guys,
Yeah,
go in
Travis.
there.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. You've been out to the racetrack.
So my son is
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's racing out there. Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet you. Yes. No, that's for you guys. Yeah.
Come in, you're gonna put this in your office.
Thank you.
All right. Moving to Item 9.3, approve resolution number 3365, Native American Heritage Month. Ms. Carr and Ms. Prairie Chicken. Where you? Oh, there you are.
Good evening, board members and the public who's here today. We have a resolution, but we have some awesome students that have volunteered to read the resolution today. I'm Christina Prairie Chicken Narvez. I'm Oglala Lakota, and I'm a youth services specialist with the district. And today we have Vivian Toddy. She's an 8th grade student at Albert Einstein Middle. She's Cherokee, Navajo, and Tewa. We have Desi Payne Begay. He is a 7th grader at California Middle. He's from the Tulatable tribe of Weldon, California. He's Dene, Tachini, and Paiute. Tachini clan and Paiute. And Thomas Toddy. He's a 6th grader at Golden Empire. He's Cherokee, Navajo, and Tewa. And so I think I will go ahead and let them.
Okay. Whereas National Native American Heritage Month is an opportunity to consider and recognize the contributions of Native Americans to the history of the United States. Whereas the Sacramento City Unified School District resides on the lands of the Nishanan and Miwok people. Whereas Native American maintain vibrant cultures and traditions, hold a deeply rooted sense of community, have made and continue to make distinct and important contributions to the United States and the rest of the world in many fields, including the fields of agriculture, medicine, music, language, and art. Whereas California has the highest Native American population in the country, it is home to 109 federally recognized tribes with approximately 81 tribes seeking recognition. Whereas over 1/2 of the state's Native American population is composed of individuals and now their descendants who were relocated to large urban areas as part of the federal government's termination policy. Whereas before missionary, fur trapping, and gold rush era migrations, California's Native American population was estimated at about 200,000, but between 1840 and 1870, the population declined to 12,000 due to disease, forced removal, and death. Whereas the Census Bureau estimated that in 2020, there were more than 631,016 individuals of Native American descent in California, and more than 18,637 in the county of Sacramento.
Whereas 2022-2023 CDE DataQuest information indicates there are 26,108 Native American students in California and 216 in SUSD. A recent review of Infinite Campus data indicates there are 514 SUSD Native American Indian students that are classified as 2 or more races. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Sacramento City Unified School District that the district is committed to improving the academic and social emotional outcomes for Native American students and all students in the region. Be it further resolved that SUSD students, American Indian Education Program, AIEP, provides academic assistance, cultural programs, back to school events, summer programs, college mentoring, field trips, and graduation recognitions for American Indian students enrolled in the program. Be it further resolved that SCUSD AIEP continues supporting students by providing services by self-identified American Indian students who are unable to enroll AIEP due to lack of documentation. Be it further resolved that SUSD AIEP continues the American Indian Educator Classroom Visit project that allows teachers to request a classroom visit from a trained Native American educator. Be it further resolved that SUSD Youth Development continues having 2 staff needs of Native American students in SUSD with 1 position, Youth Services Program Associate, dedicated to assisting 9th through 12th grade Native American students in high school graduation requirements and planning for their post-secondary education. Be it further resolved that SUSD AIEP works in partnership with Parent Advisory Committee that meets once a month to address the needs of Native American students in our district.
Be it further resolved that SUSD AIEP continues distributing resources to teachers and staff for Native American Heritage Month and share with students and family enrolled in AIEP. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education recognizes and the need of continued funding and leveraging Title VI and other grants such as Expanded Learning Opportunities Program and Title I is required for the success of AIEP. Be it further resolved that SUSD AIEP continues consulting with the local tribes to bring resources and accurate historical information to students, family, and staff. Be it further resolved that SUSD AIEP continues advocating for accurate information and authentic representation and appropriate imagery within the district curriculum, building names, mascots, and historical facts and figures. Be it further resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education recognizes November 2023 as National Native American Heritage Month. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education urges schools within the district to observe National Native American Heritage Month and Native American Heritage Day with appropriate programs and activities.
Hi, good evening, board members and dear superintendent. I'm Manpreet. So now we are here, Ms. Prairie Chicken and myself to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Before we go to board comments, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay. Floor to my colleagues. If you have anything, comments, statements, please hop in the queue. Okay, seeing as we have one. Member Singh.
I am the one. I just want to say thank you. I think recognitions are literally the least we can do. We just heard Member Phillips talk about the creation of this nation, and that creation comes at the behest and at the loss of so much Native land, families, communities, and it's truly still amazing to see the resiliency and to see you all standing here today. Honored to be someone who gets to live here as an immigrant who came here, who gets to share this land. Appreciate the community deeply. I also want to recognize the fact that we have made strides in changing the names of schools, away from genocidal killers to people who represent this community and are actually from this community. And I will continue to push to ensure that the mascots and any other offensive material in this district continues to be erased and will be erased forever so that we can create a better tomorrow, one that recognizes you, sees you, and hears you. So just thank you so much, and I'm so happy that we're recognizing you all tonight.
Thank you, Member Singh. Okay, do we have a motion to approve? So move. Second. Student preferential?
Aye.
Superintendent?
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada? Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you guys so much. Okay, now we're going to go to item 9.5, the CIF multi-school agreement by Mr. Presh. Where you at, Mr. Presh? Hello, sir.
It's Parsh, by the way.
I apologize, Mr. Parsh.
No problem. Good evening, President Rhodes, board members, Interim Superintendent Allen. This presentation is to inform you that the district plans to discontinue the CIF multi-school agreement moving forward into the 24-25 school year. As with all of our decision-making, we make sure we keep our core values and the school district guiding principles in mind as we make these decisions. The CIF, or the California Interscholastic Federation, or CIF, is a governing body for high school sports in California. The CIF uses school enrollment-based divisions to determine competitive levels for the competition of the high schools in the state. The CIF attempts to match schools of similar enrollment and size to ensure a competitive balance throughout high school sports, whether they're making their leagues or during postseason play. As a result, you can look at the screen and you can see the enrollment numbers for four of our CIF high schools. So Hiram Johnson at 1731, Kennedy at 1971, Burbank 1603, and Rosemont 1514. And then the other column shows what division they would be in if we were not entered into the multi-school agreement. So the CIF multi-school agreement is a bylaw that states that students who attend schools other than the CIF sports school are allowed to play at their school of residence. So it's an agreement that's entered into among school principals. Once the enrollment of the students, or once the enrollment is determined of the small school students, then each of the comprehensive high schools has to take on the enrollment of the students who don't go to their school. So as you can see, the second column, so Hiram Johnson, for example, their enrollment is Division III with just their enrollment. But in the second column, there's 470 students who don't attend Hiram Johnson, who they have to take on that enrollment, so it pushes their enrollment over 2,000, and it makes them become a Division I school. So you can see for Kennedy, Division II to Division I, Burbank takes on additional enrollment, Division III to II, Rosemont goes from Division V to III. So that's the total numbers on the right side of the screen down at the bottom. Those are the numbers that are added to each of the schools' enrollment numbers. The participation data is that during the 22-23 school year, there were a total of 31 small school students who took advantage of this opportunity to play CIF sports at their home school. So of the 1,434 students, 31, it makes about 2% of that population played sports. The typical participation among our schools is around 28% of the student body that actually play. So there's not a very large percentage of those students that are playing at our schools, and subsequently, they're not getting the bang for the buck, if you will, of the added enrollment, but they're not getting the added athletes. The recent participation data for the season just ended, fall sports, which is just ending now, a total of 10 students participated in fall sports at our comprehensive high schools. That being said, the small schools do have an opportunity. There's an intramural program that 6 of the 7 small schools participate in: soccer, volleyball, and basketball. And small schools can also apply for CIF membership, either as an associate member or a full member. Associate member, if you have a sport or two that you can field a team, you can go play. Full membership, you have to have a total of 6 teams to play. So due to the limited participation and the disadvantage in which this agreement puts our students at a competitive disadvantage, the district intends to discontinue the CIF multi-school agreement in the next school year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Do we have any public comment on this topic?
There is none.
Okay. To my colleagues, we're going to have Member Kayeda first.
So have you reached out to any of the kids who are currently playing at these schools or to any of their parents or the school administrators? Have we gotten any feedback on if people are not supportive of this?
Well, yes, I met the principals at one of their principal meetings and, told them of our intention to do this. And there was a little bit of concern, but not a great deal. And I've heard since the word is out now, I've heard from 2 different people, one from Capital City and one from Carver, parents of students that play.
And do you have a sense of which direction these small schools will go? Do you think they're going to form intramurals, or do you kind of think we're sending a message that, if you want the big school atmosphere, you kind of have to attend the big school?
Well, the intramurals exist. We already have it. So they're already playing, so they already have that opportunity. And I think there are a couple of schools that have the appropriate number of students to create a CIF team, yes.
Okay, thank you. And I have heard a few things about, our, I forget what you would call it exactly, but when we first started offering this to small schools, there was a little bit of hubbub. So, if we're not hearing that this time, based on the numbers, it seems natural, and I'm excited that we can have our high schools play in leagues that are appropriate for their size. So I do appreciate the effort. I would just hope, if we're hearing things, at least if the board can be informed, just so we can reach out, because there's not many kids, but if they are affected, I'd certainly like to be able to reach out to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we have Member Jean.
The only thing that's coming to mind is like that unintended consequences thing, kind of in the same space of, thank you. As I was writing questions, your presentation answered a lot of them, so well done anticipating the info we would need. But I'm just thinking about enrollment at our smaller schools, and if they don't have the option to do sports, how will that impact the enrollment there? I also acknowledge that we don't have public comment, that we haven't been contacted. So I don't, and you've had 2 people. And I also acknowledge that we're thinking about how do we make sure we're advocating for our larger schools and their sports programs and the students that are thriving there. I'm just concerned about unintended consequences. I don't know that I have a specific question for you beyond that. I think the only other one I came up with is who's going to negatively feel the impact to this? Because I can see the positives and the positive impact, but who's going to negatively feel this impact, and how do we mitigate that?
Well, I think it's the 31 who are playing, well, 10 who are playing now, although I know 2 of them are seniors, so there's probably 8 of them. But obviously we have spring and winter sports, so there will be more kids. So those will be the ones who are negatively impacted. So, I mean, there are probably some options that, we can explore with those schools if and when the time comes.
I'm also just thinking, I know a comprehensive high school and the sports program is such an involved practice, and that a small school can't sustain offering those things, and they're not intended to. They're intended to be specialized in certain ways. So again, the unintended consequences is in my brain. So I'm so thankful that you brought this to us and that we can think about it and perhaps get some more information as needed.
Thank you. We're going to go to Member Pritchett.
I think you actually answered my question, but when is the deadline? Because
Pardon me?
I think you asked my question, but when is the deadline?
Oh, it'll be in May.
In May.
End of May is when you have to, sign the agreement for the next school year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Member Segura.
Have you talked to students directly about this movement? Because from this perspective, I don't think many of us are aware of the program as a whole, let alone the removal of the program. So have you talked to student voices about this?
Just one. So really, no, I haven't. I haven't spoken to students directly about it, and I don't know what the promotion is at the small schools.
I think that could be one of the reasons why you are seeing such low attendance of those small school students. I see that you are talking with the principals of those schools, which is great, but those student voices will give you the direct perspectives that I think are necessary. And going back to the unintended consequences, from somebody who does go to a smaller population, we don't offer football at our school. I have seen people in my own class who have fully transferred out specifically because they want to play football. So they no longer attend the school that I go to because of that. So even with the program still in place currently, we are seeing those types of consequences arise, and I feel like based off of that, in the future, once this is removed, we could see those types of consequences heighten. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Member Singh.
All right. Thank you so much. I attended the first football game at Hiram Johnson, and a lot of the conversation in the crowd was, last year we won. Did they win? They got close. They must have won. But this year it was a whole different game because of the enrollment numbers. And I hear everyone on the unintended consequences, and I do think if we can make a more concentrated effort to ensure that the students who will be affected are aware, and also to get those student voices, that would be really helpful. And at the same time, we have to make sure that the students who are playing sports at those comprehensive high schools are put in positions to succeed according to the numbers that they're in. So I can totally understand, like if you're at a school that truly doesn't have those numbers, you're going to be playing against much bigger schools, which a whole different level of talent, and then you're going to get smothered in those games. And it's just an unfortunate consequence as well from a sports perspective and a competitive perspective. So I think it seems like we're all talking about is just having more conversation, but we understand that this is the direction that likely we're headed in. But I think the students need to know that this is going to happen, and just to get their perspective. And you said there might be some plans, there's some conversation with those schools that you could undertake. It would just be good next time to know what those specific plans would be. I'm not asking you to tell me right now, on how you can actually help those students who are going to be on the outside looking in, if this is indeed pulled, the agreement is indeed pulled.
Thank you. We're going to go to Member Villa.
I'm just going to recap kind of what a lot of my board members have said, our student board member. I would ask that we come back with a comprehensive communication plan to get to those students, their families, the school sites, because oftentimes, and we've had this conversation, we talk about the numbers, and we see these numbers in charts, but these are our actual students, and these are our families and people that we want to keep in our district to thrive in whatever activity that they want to participate in. So that the numbers is fine, but having a student who is engaged in a successful sports program is critical, and that can really change the trajectory of their high school career. So I want to make sure that we have a comprehensive plan before anything comes back to the board for action, and with what those results turned out to be.
Okay, thank you. Member Phillips.
A really simple question from somebody who has absolutely no idea how sports works, but I'm trying to look for it. When you were showing the numbers, because you showed if a student from a small school is going to play for a larger school, you said they take the enrollment. So that school, like say if it's Hiram, they have to take the entire enrollment of that small school in order for the one student to play here.
That's correct, yes.
Is there any financial implications for us doing that? The ADA and stuff stays the same?
No, Hiram Johnson or the school district has to pay the CIF dues for those students at the other school. So if the one student wants to play and, let's say the other school has 100 students total, Hiram Johnson or whatever school would have to pay dues on 100 students so the one could play. But they do that now. I mean, you have to pay dues for every kid in your school, no matter what. But now they just have that added on. But that is a cost that we pay at centrally, and it's not very much. I think it's maybe $20 per kid or something like that. It's not very.
Okay,
Not very
that
expensive.
actually made sense to me. So now I get it. So if one kid wants to play, it's going to be the enrollment at the larger school. If 400 of the 457 want to play, it's obviously a better advantage, but that's not what we're seeing now.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have Member Segura.
Just going back to your communication efforts, I urge you to talk to specifically students, not only within the program at those small schools, but branching out to student athletes at those schools who maybe aren't a part of the program. As, like I said, they may not be aware of the program as a whole, so the implications of that being removed before they have had the opportunity to explore it as a whole is a perspective that I feel should be explored and understood, as well as talking to the students of those larger high schools of the populations and getting their opinions on how that will impact their athletic curriculum going forward. So just trying to make sure that you're getting the equal voices in there so it's accurately represented.
Okay, very quickly, you have here a total savings of $7,768. Is that per school or just in general?
What are you referring to?
The financial.
Read the sentence.
The financial consideration here.
Yeah.
It says, current CIF dues for small school students. CIF state is 1,376. CIF San Joaquin section is 6,392, and total savings of $7,768.
Okay, yeah, so that was similar to what Board Member Phillips was referring to. So that's how much it is. I just didn't know off the top of my head. So the CIF dues are being paid for all the 1,434 students that attend small schools. So the dues for those students is $7,000.
For all of them?
For all of them.
And so.
Regardless of if they play or not.
Okay, and then below, the fiscal impact of expanding intramural sports is approximately $3,000 per sport. The fiscal impact of adding sports to from CIF is about $6,000 per referee sport. So it sounds like to add intramurals is more money than we're saving from taking away CIF. Does that seem right?
To add.
Let me do the numbers for you again. So
No, I think I understand.
Okay.
Well, the intramurals would be about $3,000 per sport. To add more, there's currently 3. So if we added another one, it'd be about $3,000 for a season. For the refereed sports, then it's more expensive to be in CIF, but some of that cost is offset by revenues generated from attendance at games and so forth.
Okay, so once again, just for clarity and simplicity, if we remove ourselves from CIF as a district, we will save $7,768. Correct?
Correct.
And if we add intramural sports without referees, per sport, it will be $3,000. That's what it says
Okay.
here.
Right, yeah.
I'm just asking this clarity.
Yes.
And then if we were going to do refereed sports, it would be $6,000 per sport.
Right.
Okay. And there's possibly 3 sports that we're talking about for like adding on intramurals.
No, there's 2 different things. So I think you're referring to if we were to add CIF sports to a small school.
That's $6,000.
Right. And that would be initial cost, because you might need uniforms and things like that.
I'm asking flat fee.
Yeah.
Flat fee for $6,000, or are we talking about each individual intramural sports that we would add if it's CIF? So if you're talking about soccer, you're talking about basketball, you're talking about volleyball, would that be $6,000 per each of those intramural sports?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, and that's referee sports. And then it'll be $3,000 per intramural sports if it's
Not intramural, no.
Okay.
CIF sports.
So $3,000 per, it says right here, intramural sports is approximately $3,000 per sport.
Correct.
Okay.
Period, yeah.
Per sport, period, and there's 3 sports. So 3 plus 3 plus 3. 9,000. I'm sure the math
So
is right here.
right now, we have basketball, right?
That's your only intramural.
So, no, there's 3 intramural basketball sports right now. There's volleyball, soccer, and basketball.
Okay.
Each one of those sports to run the entire program costs about $3,000 for the season.
Okay.
So if you added another sport, it'd be $3,000 more, roughly.
Okay.
The other numbers are if you were to start up a CIF sport, then you have probably increased referee costs.
Guess what I'm trying to say is this. We're going to, from leaving CIF, we're going to save about $7,768.
Right.
To add any of these sports, we're going to be paying $9,000, possibly, which is more than what we're leaving CIF for, or $6,000 per sport, which is also more than what we're leaving CIF for. So I just wanted to know, like, what's the cost benefit for us if it doesn't cost us anything to stay in CIF? I know it's informational. I would love to get more information because it seems like we're removing something that doesn't cost us nothing. This is budget dust at most, pennies inside of the cushion, and we're impacting students' possibility. That also is asking you, what are we doing for students? We're talking about students are not involved much inside of the sports, or not a lot of students are going. What is the outreach to the smaller schools around the opportunities for them to be part of these type of things? I know we might not have those answers currently, but when next time this is brought back to the board, I think some of those questions should be answered so that we don't feel like we're rushing or we don't have all the information, because this type of thing, even though it seems minuscule on paper and we see the numbers, this does impact our communities. And I would like to just be clear, as Board of Education elected members, we represent how the system impacts our community, not necessarily the system, right? So we want to make sure that this choice, even if it's small amounts of dollars, is impacting positively our students and families throughout the district, and then also giving people the opportunity to know that they can be part of these sports as well. So that's just my thing. I just was trying to get some clarity. I wasn't trying to harp too much. I apologize for taking too much time, because I was like, hey, we're not gonna take a lot of time, but we're gonna go to the next person. I think we have Taylor in the queue.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond mostly to what you said, President Rhodes, because my comments were kind of, I guess, on the more critical side, but I do generally support this because to me, this is not really about the money. This is about the opportunity for our kids to be able to win, to be able to play against teams that are comparable to them. So we have Hiram Johnson's going to go from Division I to Division III. They're going to win more games. Kennedy from Division I to Division II, right? So that, to me, I think is worth it. And if it costs us a little bit of money to start up new sports for the kids that are at the smaller schools, I think that's worth doing. That kind of budget dust, I guess you'd say, is worth it if it allows the kids at our big schools to, play at the level that their school is accurately represented based on the size of their school. So I think this is a good direction. I appreciate the work you've done with this. I just want to make sure that we do listen to the affected kids before we kind of pull the trigger.
Thank you, Member Kayada. And Member Phillips?
Okay, so it sounds like we're having an equality conversation, and then it sounds like we're having an equity conversation, but in reality, I can only equate this to marching band, okay? If you play West Campus and you only have 45 members, but you need to march against Del Oro, who has 150, you're going to get creamed. And so what we want to do, it sounds like keeping our students safe. Because if you show up and you're playing a Division I and you really only have level 5 players, even though you have enough, that's actually dangerous. I don't think it's about the money. I feel like it's more about the safety and letting our students be able to compete and win well, not kill themselves every season to beat that team they should not be competing against because, say, one kid at Health Professions, even though we'd love for them to play, is putting that school and those players in jeopardy. I feel it might be a safety issue, but like I said, just as a marching band geek, I don't want to compete against Del Oro if I got 25 members. I don't want to go home with no trophy. I need to feel good about something, and it's not a participation trophy, it's one the way you need to win. So I'm gonna let Madam Superintendent sum this up, even though I'm not chairing this meeting today, and I think that's where we're going, but.
Okay, yeah, so I think that we have some people in the queue still. So before you go, Madam Superintendent, you can hop in. Member Pritchett.
When this is brought back, can you also give us a comparison? Because I know a lot of our students rely on sports for college applications. And so when you bring this back, can you just give us a comparison of like how this is a comparison of like where the status of our CIAF status is or where their divisions are for all of our students and where their status is? So if this takes place, of where this would be for our students?
I don't think I understand.
If there's any changes, like, would we lose any of our CIF, like, would it lower, like, would it lower any of their division statuses? Or if it takes away any of the, any of our students, like, where would that leave any of our students?
You mean opportunities?
Like, yeah,
Opportunities
exactly.
for
So
scouting.
just an analysis of, for our entire district.
And then we're gonna end it off, thank you, with Superintendent. She's gonna add some words.
So what I will say is we will bring this back. We will have more information for you. But this is about students, yes, being safe. And if you recall last year, I believe it was Hiram Johnson that came forward about because they had to play up. And it is very difficult at a high school when you are not playing in your correct division. And that's what this is about. Now, I do agree about perhaps getting more word and more information out to students. We can do that. I also my question about NCAA and their status, and are there any of these students that are playing right now that it's going to affect their NCAA status, like their scholarships and moving forward? And the answer was no. That's important. It's important to families. And so there's more work that we can do around this. Yes, this is controversial, but in my opinion, after we get the word out, this is something that we've been trying to do for quite a while, because if you follow some of our athletic events, you would understand some of the predicaments that some of our teams are in because of this. Also knowing that we want to do everything that's right for our students as well. So we will come back with more data, more information for you. But this is an informational item, and this is something that as a district we can submit the paperwork for. So this is not something that the board has to actually approve, but we just wanted to bring this to you so you would have all of the information in case people are coming to you. Because it is difficult, but I think it is in the best interest of the district for now, but we will bring you back more information.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that what my colleagues have asked for, what we like, is more information and I guess a little bit more outreach to school sites and connecting with students specifically around how this impacts them. Thank you guys for everybody who had comments in the discussion. We will move on to the next item, which is 9.6. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, board member appointees to Community Schools Advisory Committee. Miss Garner? Oh, we're gonna turn over to I'm sorry, my colleague, Tara Jean. Sorry, your name was on the paper. Yeah.
Thank you, President Rhodes. So I am very, very excited to officially announce our board appointees to our Community Schools Advisory Committee. So about a month ago, we endorsed community schools, recognizing they are an evidence-based strategy for school improvement and community development. And we support the creation of a district-level Community Schools Advisory Committee. This committee will be charged to inclusively lead the process to coordinate and oversee the implementation of our California Community School Partnership Program implementation grants from the state. So we're excited to officially announce our 7 new representatives to the committee. Please welcome the following dedicated individuals. For Area 1, Jennifer Dare Sparks, MFA. For Area 2, April Ibarra. For Area 3, Patricia Schneider, and please, I apologize if I am butchering anyone's names. For Area 4, Henrietta Gutierrez. For Area 5, Frank DeYoung. For Area 6, Terrence Gladney. And for Area 7, Shanella Barnes. The new appointees will serve for a minimum of 1 year. We look forward to their contributions in the months and years to come. These appointees were carefully selected for their commitment to ensure underserved communities receive equitable resources, to create community partnerships, and to foster the self-empowerment necessary to support student learning, strong families, and thriving communities. These folks will work closely with the other selected Community Schools Advisory Committee members to provide valuable insights, feedback, and recommendations to help our schools grow and thrive. We are confident that their collective wisdom and dedication will be instrumental in driving the positive change and improvements within our schools. Please welcome them and thank them for their support and commitment.
Thank you, Member Jean. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
Okay, do we have any comment from my colleagues? That was just a quick intermission. So thank you all. This was informational. We're going to move into action. Do we have a motion to move into action? So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. So we'll start off with our student preferential.
Aye.
Okay.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
I will abstain.
Okay. Member Pritchett. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Okay, and I know that we didn't get an opportunity, but if anyone wants to say anything about their appointees at this point in time, you can do so if you want to hop in the queue. If you guys don't, I would say something about mine. He's here today. Frank, we appreciate you, man, and I hope that you'll be able to serve on this committee as you served on the LCAP with the same kind of vibrant fire and dedication to our students in the district. So thank you, man. I appreciate you. Much love always. And now, Member Singh.
Thank you. I just want to say we had tons of applicants. I was hoping for a few more, but we did have enough to choose from. I think for my selection, I chose April. I know April's not here tonight, but when I see parents come here and advocate, when I go to school sites and I see the same parents constantly trying to work to create a better system for their students. And when I see parents who have children in the district at those particular school sites, that really gives me hope that folks are dedicated to the community and dedicated to getting the work done. So I'm really excited not only about April, but also everybody else to collectively come together and help us move this work forward. I know this has been a huge endeavor, both by the board, through our union leadership, and through the parents and the students of this district to really get some work done and move our district in the right direction. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Singh. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to item 10.0. Did you ask? You did. 10.0, not 10.1, sorry, public hearings. A hearing and adoption of the district's initial proposal regarding UPE collective bargaining agreement negotiations. Hello.
Hi, hello, Board President Rhodes, Superintendent Allen, and board members. I'm Concy McCarn, I'm your Chief Human Resource Officer, and with me tonight for a presentation on the next three items is Dan Shalek, and he is our Employee Relations Director. So we will start with UPE, and we are here to sunshine proposals. So we are ready to start negotiating with UPE, as well as two others that you'll hear about. You know we are in current negotiations with two of our other partners. This now brings the other three in. So the reason we're here is because it's important for the community to know that we're beginning to engage in these conversations. What you will see tonight are just initial proposals, initial areas that we will be looking at in this negotiations. This is for reopener for the 22-23 school year and beyond for UPE. You will also see what UPE has submitted in terms of their sunshining. So as the district goes on, and again, it's important for us to know, to let the community know that we're beginning negotiations and what that means. So when we come back with agreements, you will know that what we've been up to this whole time. Also important because as we begin to negotiate with labor partners, and now at this point we will be negotiating with all five. Very important to do so. And as part of our commitment, we will, in addition to the items you see here, the articles that Dan is going to share with you, we will be presenting and working on detailed proposals in each of those areas. This is to let you know which areas we are looking to start with in this reopener. So to that end, I will turn it over to Dan to talk about the articles that the district will be putting forward to engage in conversation, and then we'll share with you, as in your board packet, what UPE has shared as their sunshine for this negotiation session.
Good evening. As Ms. McCarn has indicated, this with UPE, we have the reopener and the successor. So for the reopener and the successor, we'll be bargaining for Article 8, which is salary and health benefits. But specifically for the successor, we'll also be bargaining over Article 5, evaluations of work performance, Article 9, the work year, Article 10, promotions, assignments, vacancies, and transfer, Article 11, retiree health benefits, and Article 12, summer school.
So with that, as we said, this is for UPE. We'll talk about the others, but wanted to stop certainly able to answer any questions, and then we'll share with you what UPE is sunshining.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
Do we have any board comment on the topic? Being that we have none, it says that we are a public hearing and moving into action. Do we have a movement? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, so do we have a motion to approve? So move second. Student preferential?
Aye.
Superintendent?
Member Villa.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Phillips. Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Ching.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, and we're going to 10.2, informational, 1 minute.
What I will share also just with regards to the overall negotiations, right? We know that we have 5 labor partners, we have non-represented, we have a lot of employees in our district, all of them very valuable and special and important to engage in this process. So thank you for approving that. I do want to say that UPE, who couldn't be here this evening, want to make sure you're aware that they are opening Articles 8, which is salary and health benefits, as well as Article 12, which is summer school. So you see some similarities there. Okay?
Okay. Do we have any public comment on item 10.2?
We do not.
Okay, do we have any board comment on item 10.2? Seeing that there's none, we're going to move to item 10.3. Floor is still yours.
Thank you again. Hi, I'm Concy McCarn, your Chief Human Resource Officer. With me is Dan Shalek, your Employee Relations Director, and we are here to sunshine for TCS, which is Teamsters Classified Supervisors. The next 2 units that we talk about are represented by Teamsters, the Teamsters Classified Supervisors, specifically, again, engaging in reopeners for the 22-23 school year, as well as successor. We are here to make sure that you and the public know that we're going to begin having conversations, negotiations with this labor partner in order to reach agreements in areas that we are negotiating on. So again, just important for you all to know as we begin to engage and value all of our employees through that process.
Hello again. And also for TCS, again, we have the reopener and the successor. And for both of them, we'll be bargaining Article 6 compensation. And for the reopener, we are specifically also bargaining Article 8 hours, Article 9 assignments, Article 13 transfers and promotions, Article 14 performance evaluations, Article 15 personnel files, and Article 17 professional growth program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
Do we have any board comment on the topic? Seeing that there's none, do we have a motion to move into action?
Move it.
Move. Do we have a second? Second. All right. Now we're into action. Do we have student preferential?
Aye.
Superintendent?
Member Jean.
We're good. Aye.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Phillips. Aye. Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Okay, now we're back to 10.4, informational item. Back to you.
Thank you. And I just want to check, is Alan Dory still here? Okay, well, in that case, I want to share with you what they submitted in terms of sunshining. And TCS has sunshined Article 6, which is wages, Article 9, Article 10, holidays, Article 11, vacations, Article 17, professional growth, and Article 23, duration of the contract.
Okay, do we have any public comment on that topic?
We do not.
Do we have any board discussion on that topic? We do not. All right, so going into that was informational. Now we're going to go to our next item. The floor is yours again.
Wonderful. So we are here, Concy McCarn, your Chief Human Resource Officer, and Dan Shalek, your Employee Relations Officer, to sunshine for Teamsters as we begin negotiations. again, coming forward to ensure that the public is aware we are beginning negotiations as a district with our partners and what areas we will be looking at. Teamsters also has reopeners for the 22-23 school year, as well as successor moving forward. So Dan will talk with you about the areas we're opening, and then I will share what Teamsters has submitted.
Yes, so for both the reopener and successor, we will be talking and bargaining over Article 6 compensation, and for the successor, additionally, Article 8 hours, Article 9 assignments, Article 13 transfers and promotions, Article 14 performance evaluations, Article 15 personnel files, and Article 17 professional growth program. Thank you.
Okay.
And so we're happy to answer questions.
Yeah, thank you. That's just waiting for everyone. So, do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
We do not. Do we have any board comment on the topic? We do not. Okay, seeing that we have no board comment, do we have a motion to move into action? Second? Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, student preferential.
Aye.
Superintendent?
Member Villa.
Aye.
Member Singh. Aye. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Phillips. Aye. Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Jean.
Aye.
All right, the floor is yours again.
Thank you. And just so that you are aware, again, in your packet, what Teamsters is sunshining is Article 6, compensation, Article 9, about annual footwear, Article 10, holidays, Article 11, vacations, Article 17, professional growth, and Article 23, duration. And they've indicated that potentially they want to discuss a new area, but that's what they submitted as shown in your packet.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
We do not. Do we have any board comment on the topic? We do not. All right, seeing that that's informational, we will go to the next. No, this is no longer you. All right. Item 10.7, public hearing and approval of resolution number 3354. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Shannon Pella, Director of Professional Learning, excuse me, for ELA Literacy and Humanities, and this is our district librarian, Tasha Weatherall. And we are here, we're here to discuss the Compliance with Pupil Textbook and Instructional Materials Incentive Act. Having sufficient instructional materials is clearly a part of our core values and guiding principles as we are moving to provide the most equal opportunities to all of our kids. I'm having remote problems. Nope. Go back. So the Pupil Textbook and Instructional Materials Incentive Act is grounded in Ed Code, which requires that the governing board, and that's why we're here tonight, holds a public hearing on or before the end of the 8th week of the school year. And at this hearing, you will make the determination through a resolution as to whether or not each of the students in our districts have sufficient textbooks. So what we call this often the Williams Review or the Williams Act, where SCOE comes to visit our sites, and the purpose is threefold. One is to determine if pupils have sufficient instructional materials in the 4 core subject areas. Also to determine if there are any facility conditions that pose an emergency or an urgent threat, and to determine if the school has provided accurate data on their school accountability report card. So Tasha, with her exceptional participation in the yearly Williams Review, is going to now discuss the steps required to ensure sufficiency.
All right, so I sound really congested, but I'm not. I'm fine. Every year, the sites all of our school sites are provided with a list of our instructional materials that need to be made available to all of our students. And we check in with all of our principals or our site librarians or our textbook managers at each site to see what they need for the coming year based on projections of who their students are going to be. In May-ish, I get a list from Sacramento County Office of Ed that says, here's your sites that are going to be visited this year. About a quarter of them will be unannounced, so that they know they're getting a visit, but they don't know when. And it's always after the second week of school through the end of September. So we had a very busy 3 weeks of school visits this year, as we always do. Textbooks are then redistributed, and like sometimes we have to make sure that if a site has extra 5th grade materials that another site needs them, then Library Textbook Services and myself will redistribute those to make sure that everybody has what they say they need. SCOE tells us when they're going. We provide instructions to all of our sites about what they should expect and when to expect it and what we're looking for. SCOE conducted site visits for all of our sites. I attended almost all of the visits this year to make sure that the visits were done in a way that I knew that they were actually looking for what they were supposed to look for. There were a few that I couldn't attend, but somebody else from Library Textbook Services went to also, so that we would have a district representative at each site during each visit. All of our sites either passed, which means they all had enough materials for all their students who were on their rosters on that day, or if they didn't, then we remedied that within, like, usually we have until the end of the month, but usually it was like by the next day we remedied that so that it would be taken care of. So yeah, that's all of that. I don't know, do I just push this one? Okay. These are the visits that we did this year. The list is exactly the same as it was last year, and it will be exactly the same as next year. The hope is that the following year there'll be another 3-year cycle for different sites that meet the criteria that are outlined in the legislation. So we had one site, Martin Luther King Jr., that was a K-8, but is no longer a K-8, so that's why there's fewer K-8s this year than there were in previous years. And we just have one high school, Hiram Johnson, which any of us who've been there know that is we were there for 4 hours with, 16 people, it felt like, checking classrooms. So those are all the sites that we visited. 100% of our schools that we visited had sufficiency or fixed their sufficiency issues. And then I sent out surveys to all of our other sites to make sure that they all had sufficiency. And I got a report back except for 4 sites that had things that they needed, which we then fixed. So all of our sites were at sufficiency by the end of September, first week of October. And then the total funds that we spent for instructional materials is a little over $2 million. And then we spent $6.5 million for new history, social science, K-12. That was a lot. So we're recommending that you approve our resolution. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. Okay. I don't know. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments?
That's what I was waiting for.
Okay.
Do we have any public comment before we go to board?
We do not.
Do not? Do we have any board discussion or comment? Okay, Member Kayada.
First of all, thank you for your work, and I'd like to thank SCOE for supporting us in this effort as well. Just also like to take a quick moment to celebrate the fact that although at times we haven't always had the newest textbooks, we take action to get them. And this board has never, in my recent memory, interfered with our textbook committees for reasons that are not in pursuit of student outcomes. So I just wanted to lift that up. And then just one small matter is this resolution was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, and we unfortunately had to, we couldn't meet. So it says October 19th in the resolution still. So just to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's on that one.
Yes.
Thank you, though.
Yeah. And can I lift something up really quick? I didn't say it before, but I just want to say that I work with a team of people through Library Textbook Services. There's a team of 3 that distributes all of the curriculum to every single site at this district. 3 people and me. So I'd like to make sure that they are appreciated and noticed for that hard work that they put in every day. And as a side note, all of the textbooks that came, all the new history, social science textbooks that came out to the sites, K-12, were hand barcoded by those 3 people plus some helpers this summer. So like they do a lot of unseen work. So I just want to make sure that they get noticed and that gets put in the record that they support this district in ways that lots of people don't even notice. So just to say that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and she beat me to that, so good on Tasha, but also, you know, our district librarian does a tremendous amount of work, not only with making sure that we are compliant with this particular act, but in making sure that our libraries are growing and our kids are reading. And so thank you, Tasha. And then I also would love to call them out by name. So I'm going to say Kimberly Chang, Eric Crotty, and Sierra Campbell at Library Textbook Services do a phenomenal job.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So we're going to have a motion to move in from public hearing to action. Second? Okay, now going into action, student preferential.
Aye.
Superintendent.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Phillips. Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion passes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You as well. Okay, now going into resolution number 3366. And this is going to be Mr. Russell. How are you doing, sir?
Hello. Good evening, President Rhodes, member of the board, Superintendent Allen. I'm here to discuss Government Code 4217 and LED lighting. Today's public hearing is supposed to give you the information that provides that we have met Government Code 4217 and can use this as a procurement method to do energy efficient projects. Our core values and guiding principles lead all the work that we do here in facilities. Our project highlights, this is going to replace exterior light fixtures with energy efficient light fixtures at 25 campuses, similar to phase 1 where we did 25 campuses and have finished that work. It also does include the Cerna Center interior lights, our heaviest energy user building in the district. The timeline is December. They will begin at Christmas holiday break and work here in the Cerna Center, and work will continue through June of '24. As I said, 25 sites will receive this work. We will receive an estimated 90% savings per light fixture. We take 250 watt sodium lights, high energy lights, those exterior bright yellow lights, replace them with 14 watt LED, same intensity with dimming effects per fixture. We do have a SMUD energy retrofit rebate. We have worked with SMUD in our office, receiving almost $131,000 in a rebate for this project, and we expect the payback to be 8 years. Why are we using 4217? It allows us to negotiate with a qualified contractor to do this work, and one of the negotiated items is a 10-year warranty on our fixture instead of a typical 1 or 2 year warranty we receive at facilities. 4217 is the energy service contract. We have posted a notice within 2 weeks of this board meeting, and you are with me right now getting ready to hold our public hearing to determine that I have shared with you the anticipated energy cost savings of this project is reasonable. The procurement analysis, all projects have a construction cost. As you can see, our construction contract will be for $2,330,853 that does include a SMUD rebate of $131,000 and insurance bonds required by law. Soft costs in facilities include architects, construction management, oopsies, etc. We used common industry percentages to come up with those costs. Those are estimated costs, but it would take us to almost $3 million if we did not use Government Code 4217. Financial analysis, this shows the payback period and our net cost avoidance with both energy and maintenance costs avoided over the course of 10 years. This is by site, what each site will cost, estimated annual yearly savings, the SMUD rebate by that site. The SMUD rebate is based off the fixture. We get a certain dollar for every fixture and fixture type, and comes with our construction costs. For tonight, we need you to hold a public hearing, allowing for public comment. I will answer any board questions, and then the actual resolution is in consent tonight.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any public comment on this topic?
We do not.
All right. Do we have any board comment on this topic? Member Jean.
Sorry, I have a newbie question. This is Measure H, so it's not officially a bond. So do we have an oversight committee of community members at all for these funds? And if so, have they been a part of this process?
Measure H is paying for this project, and we do have a Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for Measure H.
Excellent. And have they gone through this and approved it all and are on board with what you're
Bond
proposing?
Oversight Committees look at project financials after the projects are.
Afterwards, okay. So it'll be their job to make sure that what you're proposing to us right now is what happens.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for helping the newbie figure this out.
Very welcome.
Do we have any other board comments, questions? All right. Seeing that there is none, that will conclude our public hearing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to have your counterpart come up and talk about the facilities plan update. Hello, sir.
Hello, Board President, board members, Superintendent Allen. I am Nathaniel Browning here this evening, and I want to provide an update on our facilities planning efforts in the district. And again, here's our core value and guiding principle. And I think it's important that to spell out that we do recognize that our system isn't equitable by design, and that we work to confront and interrupt those inequities whenever we can in order to provide an equal opportunity to graduate with the greatest number of post-secondary choices with the widest array of options. Here are the acronyms that you'll see this evening in this presentation. And here's the agenda. I want to share a little bit of research, provide a little bit more background on the facilities plan that we have in the district. It's building off of the February 16th presentation that I provided to all of you previously. Talk a little bit about our recognitions for the work and how we're implementing the plan, specifically around the second round of vision projects that we've identified. So, what the research shows is that the conditions of school facilities really do impact student achievement, health, and attendance, and that students in lower income neighborhoods are more likely to attend schools that are in poor condition, and those schools in poor condition in those neighborhoods typically receive less school funding. In fact, here's another very large peer-reviewed article that came out about a month ago that showed the same thing. It looked at 23 states' bond measures that had been passed over the last decade, and it showed that students that received funding, facilities funding specifically on project type, certain project types, did see increase in outcomes, student outcomes. And that was a more pronounced increase in those student gains in disadvantaged communities. So I think it's really important to have that research in the background and think about kind of where we have landed in the district as well. In February, I shared with this body that we looked at funding previously across the district and found something very similar, that a lot of our facilities funding had previously gone to more affluent parts of the city, whereas a lot of that funding hadn't seen some of the school sites like Nicholas or some of the other schools that have been identified in our facilities planning process. And in order to do that, we really had had to look at what traditional facilities planning metrics used to look at to provide and prioritize a rubric for identifying construction projects. And we had to take that apart, dismantle it, and come up with a different set of metrics to help identify schools that would impact that student outcome trajectory even more. And based on that, we came to the realization that looking at neighborhoods and looking at student outcomes was going to get us to that spot over the traditional means of looking at enrollment and capacity data that was typically what we used in the district and what school districts typically use in their facilities planning approach. And so a little bit more on what that implementation looks like. I'm not going to show it this evening. I showed it last February. If I encourage anyone that has not seen this 6-minute video to find this video. It's called Racism in Fine Print. Talks about how specifically in Sacramento, previous redlining has increased neighborhoods that have had historical disinvestments and other neighborhoods that continue to receive layers and layers of supports. And what we have found is that in this district, we unknowingly continue to provide additional funding to those affluent neighborhoods that continue to get a lot of those resources. Meanwhile, we were closing schools in less affluent neighborhoods, continuing to increase that level of disinvestment. And so this funding plan really kind of takes all that into account and really prioritizes our capital funding efforts moving forward in neighborhoods that have had historical disinvestments. So the plan really outlined $4.4 billion worth of need within the district. We currently have Measure H, which was a $750 million bond. And if you think about that, that's not even $750 million on $4.4 billion worth of need is not really even quite a full down payment. And so we really have much more work to do, and the Measure H dollars that we have is really just the initial step in the right direction, but we have much more to identify and address. And in order to figure out how we're going to best spend that initial down payment, we had to develop a plan to outline how best to proceed. And so we developed 2 different types of projects, Project Type B, which we also call the Vision Projects, and that runs through the Equity Index for identifying major modernizations or complete campus rebuilds. And we went blank, and so we figure out how we can get that back up and going. Project Type A projects are really based on facility condition, and they work to identify and remediate any kind of liability concerns, whether it's a leaking roof, any kind of deferred maintenance, tears in carpets, ADA type needs like that as well. It's really important to know that we have the Project Type B projects that are the vision and go through the Equity Index, but we also still need to address some of those liabilities as well. And so on the Project Type B, the Vision projects, again, we really looked at neighborhoods and student outcome data to prioritize where we were going to send those funds. And so after we look at and identified the list of projects based on the neighborhood and student data needs, we then would look deeper into that list of 12 to 13 sites to then prioritize a little bit further. And that's where we started looking at different features to the built environment. Project Type A, again, is really built on facility conditions. It really looks at some of the inadequate components in the learning environments and the facility itself, everything from cracks in the sidewalk to leaking roofs to deferred maintenance needs. And based on this was really the first type of facilities plan of its kind in the whole nation. And most recently, as the board and community knows, we will be receiving the Golden Bell Award from the California School Board Association on November 30th of 2023. Last year, we also received the Leroy Green Design and Planning Award of Excellence from Cash AIA. That's their highest recognition for this type of work. Austin Independent School District and Boston Public Schools have also started adopting facilities plans very similar to ours. And we've gone on a roadshow and have presented to 6 to 7 different conferences, ranging from everything from a 90-minute presentation to a 4-hour presentation on this. And so implementing, we've previously come and shared that we focused on the first round of Nicholas Elementary, Oak Ridge Elementary, and Edward Kimball and Cesar Chavez Elementaries. And so we are starting to go into the second round of projects that we'll be talking about here momentarily. But I wanted to just share a couple of the things again, the 4 key principles that drive us not only in the identification of the projects, but the projects and how we implement them throughout the whole process. We again look at the student data, neighborhood data. We look at any additional layers that we need to identify on making sure that we can address the needs within those sites identified through the equity index. But then we also want to really take a focus on uplifting community and student voices very specifically throughout the whole entire process. And lastly, be visionary as well as practical. So real quick, I think why talking about uplifting the community voice and engagement is really important is because sociology researcher Dr. Hernandez from UC Davis has shown that typically you'll find decision makers are making their decisions isolated without the people that are actually most affected. And that psychological distance continues to create more harm than good. And so what we're really trying to do and what we did in developing the facilities plan and what we're doing with each and every single school is we're really focused on this idea of making decisions with the community and giving them the space to outline what they need most. And so one of our sayings is you can't make decisions with the communities. You can't make decisions for the communities. You need to let them make it for themselves. And so almost done here, the next 3 projects that we've identified are Pacific Elementary, Bowling Green Elementaries, and Fern Bacon Middle School. And you can see here the level of need that each of these sites have. They do reside in neighborhoods categorized as high segregation and poverty, and they do have a high student population that is identified in LCAP. All of these sites have specific needs as well within the facility themselves. Pacific Elementary is in a location that is so close to the freeway that the California Department of Education would no longer let us build a school that close to the freeway. There's a high number of portables at that site as well, and it's extremely congested. And so that led us to elevate Pacific Elementary to the second round. Obviously, the Bowling Green Elementaries, we've all heard from the community there and the level of need at those sites. That site specifically has the 10th highest need within the district around student needs, more specifically. And then right across, pretty much sharing the same property line is Fern Bacon, which has the 4th highest student need across the whole district. And it's interesting that Bowling Green and Fern Bacon being right next to each other in the properties, it's going to provide us an opportunity to rethink that whole property line in both of those schools at the same time. And so with that, as we're starting to just initiate those 3 projects, we will be coming back with more of an update on both those 3 vision projects, the current projects that we have going on the vision list, as well as those type A projects that are more around the deferred maintenance components as well. And the slide that you can't see says, asks if there's any questions.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
No public comment.
Okay, do we have any of my colleagues who would like to hop in? Okay, let's go, Member Kayada.
So thank you for the presentation, and I know we've seen a lot of this before, and I've seen you presented on the road, as you say. I'm really proud that we're able to develop such a deliberate method of investing in our community. Every time I consider our investments, and especially when I look at Measure H, which I remember voting on and spending a lot of time thinking about, because I remember when this was on the ballot, it was a time when I was very dissatisfied with our school district, and I was like, you know what? Are they going to spend this money the way that they say, or is it just going to go into places that is a black box? I think we're spending it the way our community would want, but I do think there is, especially kind of in the materials we have when we present this, like the staff report, it's a little bit disconnected from the language of the bond. So I think my concern, the reason I'm raising this, is because, as you've mentioned, ultimately we have a lot more need than what we got from Measure H. We have a lot of investments we need to make to have top-tier facilities to educate our kids so that they can go forward into our new economy. This ballot measure had a lot of focus on STEAM education, labs. I'm not really seeing that in here. I know when we rebuild schools, that's part of it, but I kind of would like to either focus more on that or at least draw a line when we discuss this between kind of what the voters looked at and what we're doing and why. I know to you, having lived in this, it's a natural progression. And especially when you talk about, we had a board resolution that preceded the bond, but the average taxpayer was not looking at the board resolution. They maybe didn't get the concept and the full scope of what we were trying to do, which, to be clear, I fully support. I think we just need to make sure that if we're going to be back out to community to ask for more bond revenue so we can continue these efforts, we're clear in what we're doing with it, because I don't think we have to hide this. I think we need to sell this to our community. I would say we don't even need to sell it. This speaks for itself because we've done such great work. And I'm saying you did such great work in your team. Especially when I kind of go back to STEAM and our labs and whatnot, I think it fits perfectly within our equity index that we've created. The communities that need career technical education and these great labs to get educated are communities that maybe don't have as high a rates of going to college, and these skills are even more important to them. It 100% fits. I just want to tell that story so it doesn't seem like we're talking about this over here and voters thought we were doing this over here, because we're doing what they asked for. We just kind of skip some steps sometimes, I think, when we talk about it. The other thing, as we look at especially the large-scale improvements to schools, including, replacing schools, I think, maybe this is something that needs to come back to the board, but we need to look at not just replacing schools with a newer version of what was there, but looking at what kind of schools we want for our community. Especially when I'm thinking about labs and opportunities for kids to get things that they can't necessarily get at a small school, I'm thinking it makes sense to have some larger schools with great facilities. And that may have some questions about what kind of a district do we want? Do we like our really, really small neighborhood schools, or maybe we don't have sorry, I'm speaking fast. When we have really small schools, we don't have as many adults on campus because each adult, divided by how many kids, we can't afford as many. And maybe you have one lab, but you're not gonna have 2 or 3 if you only have a couple hundred kids. So really just being deliberate and intentional as we consider our future investments, and having conversations with our involved stakeholders, as well as the taxpayers, who I'm sure sooner than later we're gonna go back because we do need a lot more. And your index and your list of needs has shown that. Measure H is not gonna pay for everything that we know that we need. So that's it. A lot there, but I do appreciate this work and I enjoy these presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Kayada. And Nathaniel, just for clarity for my colleague here, how much time did you spend in community talking with community members, taxpayers around what's going on and how that impacts them, and then the structures of how you guys are building schools and how you're incorporating the things that he has talked about, which I know you are?
Yeah, I think between board meetings and community meetings in the month of November and the holiday week, I don't have an evening where I'm at home by the time dinner is served. Both myself and Mr. Ralston.
Yeah, so I just want to make it very clear. My colleagues brought up the concern of making sure that we're being clear to the community. I just want to be clear to the community that you are out there doing it, even if not all members see it. You're actually doing the work, so I appreciate you, sir. Now going to Member Phillips.
I just want to thank you for being one of the leaders in the change and the revolution against educational gentrification and redlining, because that's really what we're trying to stop. So I appreciate all that you're doing. You and your team are doing fantastic. It's rare that I just thank people, huh?
No, you do it often.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that was just information. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And we're gonna move on to approval of the general obligation refund bonds. Mr. Scott, oh no, Mr. Scott. Hello.
Okay. Good evening, President Rhodes, members of the board, and Interim Superintendent Allen. I'm Janae Marking, Chief Business and Operations Officer. Tonight, we present item 11.2, seeking a possible refunding of general obligation bonds with your authorization. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Joe Crump from Dale Scott and Associates, the district's financial advisor. Mr. Crump will provide information and answer any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Scott.
No, I'm sorry. Mr. Scott is not here. This is Mr. Crump.
Mr. Crump, I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. All right, well, good evening, members of the board. Glad to be here. So, as Janae mentioned, I will be discussing a refinancing of a portion of the district's outstanding general obligation bonds. So first, to provide a little bit of background, so in 2012, district voters approved Measure Q, which authorized $346 million of general obligation bonds. And as is typical, these bonds are not issued all at once. They're issued in smaller pieces called series. So Series A, the first piece of this authorization, was issued in 2013 in the amount of $40 million. And also another typical thing for GO bonds is they're typically structured with what's called an optional redemption or call provision, which means that 10 years after a bond series is issued, it is eligible to be refinanced. And you can kind of think about this similar to how you would refinance a mortgage. And so let's get into a little bit of detail about exactly how this process would work. So as I mentioned, the Series A bonds were issued in 2013. Now here we are in 2023, 10 years later. So these bonds are now eligible to be refinanced. And there's a lot going on in this slide, but I want to direct your attention to the pie chart on the upper right. So these are the payments remaining on this Series A bond. So about $10 million of principal, $4.5 million of interest. Now the pie chart on the bottom is what, based on these estimates, what we envision the new payments would be if these bonds are refinanced. So principal payments would be reduced to about $9.3 million, interest would be reduced to about $3.4 million, and that would generate total savings of about $1.8 million. Now, to be clear, this is a savings that accrues to district taxpayers, so it would have no effect on the district's general fund or finances. The cost of this refunding is also not paid directly by the district, but it just comes from proceeds of the bond sale. So I just want to make that clear. There's also a table here which has basically the same data in tabular form. But the basic reason for doing this refinancing is just to achieve those savings for district taxpayers, which will lower future tax rates. So that's the reason for you would do this refinancing. So this is the first piece of the refinancing. It's very common type of refinancing we see in general obligation bonds. There's another piece which is similar, but there's a couple of key differences. So again, if we look at this pie chart on the upper right, there's about $61 million of principal and $62 million of interest. Unlike the previous slide where we just looked at one series of bonds, that's those Series A bonds, what these payments are showing is an amalgamation of several of the district's prior bond series. And I mentioned earlier, I talked about the call date. So typically, again, 10 years after a bond is issued, it's eligible to be refinanced. But what if, based on current market conditions, you have the opportunity to realize savings based on current lower interest rates, but you are not yet at that call date? Let's say it's a year from now or 2 years from now. Is there a way to still realize those savings? And the answer is yes. So basically, that's what we're showing here, because that accumulation of bonds that I talked about, the call date is still in the future. So that's the difference between this slide and the previous slide, is that for these bonds, we have not yet reached the call date. But the way you would refinance them is you would go to the current bond holders and repurchase those bonds at the current market price. The only difference here is because we have not reached the call date, the bondholder has the option of whether or not they want to resell those bonds. So if you can kind of see in the footnote there, this scenario assumes 35% of those bonds are refinanced. That's an estimate. It could be 50%, it could be 10%. But the idea is you would reach out to those investors and repurchase those bonds, issue new bonds at lower rates. And in this scenario, we're showing estimated savings of $5.6 million. Now, I think a good question to answer before moving on is, why would the district want to do this? Why not just wait until those bonds are callable? Wait till the call provision. And, that is an option, but the reason that it is might be a good idea to do this refinancing now is that you lock in those savings, because let's say in the future interest rates continue to increase. Maybe by the time you get to that call date, there are little to no savings. On the other hand, if interest rates decrease, you are potentially missing out on an opportunity to get more savings in the future. But the idea is you're just locking in those savings now, taking that risk off the table. So that's kind of the idea behind that. All right, so I know it's a little bit complicated, but let's move on to the next slide. And I think this would also be beneficial. So when we're thinking about a refinancing, whether it's in the mortgage market or a bond, one of the things that we have to be cognizant of is the interest rate environment. So this graph shows interest rates in the bond market going back 10 years. There's a lot going on here, but if we look at the far right, we can see just over the last few months, there's been a significant increase in interest rates. So what does that mean for this refinancing? So the numbers I showed you previously were based on interest rates in the market as of August 17th. So those two pieces that I showed you, the total estimated savings is about $7.5 million based on that scenario. However, because interest rates have increased significantly over the last couple months, as you can see on the right-hand side, the latest projections as of October show that those estimated savings have gone from $7.5 million to $2.5 million. So our instinct is, there are positive savings there, but it probably doesn't make sense to do the refinancing right now based on that $2.5 million number. Now, what's the correct number? That's up to the district to decide. It could be $4 million, it could be $5 million. But I just want to make it clear, that based on current market conditions, $2.5 million is the savings amount. Now, the advantage to passing the resolution is that if interest rates do decline, we never know how they're going to move, let's say over the next couple months, the district will be in a position to quickly put these refunding bonds into the market and achieve savings. But obviously, we would not go forward until we have the districts go ahead in terms of actually pricing this financing. In terms of timing, these are just some of the big steps. So let's say interest rates do drop significantly in the future, enough to proceed with this refinancing. At some point, we'd schedule a rating call to get the bonds rated. The bonds would be priced afterward. That's when interest rates are locked in, the savings are locked in, and then the bonds would close. So this, basically from start to finish, this process might take maybe 6 to 8 weeks. So we could go pretty quickly, once we decide interest rates are at a level where it makes sense to proceed. So I know that's kind of a lot of information, but that concludes the presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
No public comment.
All right, do we have any board comment on the topic? Okay, so we're gonna hop into Member Kayada first.
So bonds are an unfortunate necessity for public entities such as ourselves to be able to buy things up front with money we don't have right now. It's difficult, if not impossible, or potentially imprudent, I would say, for us to save a bunch of money and then go and spend it, right? To save up $750 million. But there are costs, and it's not just the interest involved when we make use of a financial instrument to be able to afford the investments we need. So I'm just going to read a little short thing. I heard it recently, I don't remember where, but I remember reading it back in college. It's called Where Are the Customer's Yachts? And this is a little parable from this investment book from, I think, 70 years ago. Once in the dear dead days beyond a recall, an out-of-town visitor was being shown the wonders of the New York financial district. When the party arrived at the Battery, one of his guides indicated some handsome ships riding at anchor. He said, "Look, there are the bankers and the brokers' yachts." And the naive visitor said, "Where are the customers' yachts?" Because ultimately, when you're dealing with money, when you're dealing with finance, there's people making a lot of money off it. There are pretty significant costs in us doing this refunding. I inquired before, I believe we're talking somewhere in the range 1.6 to $3.5 million. That's legal fees, ratings, advisory fees, the people with the yachts. I want to make sure that obviously we need to protect the taxpayers and save the money when they can, but we do it deliberately, I'm going to use that word a lot tonight, in a way that we recognize we need to pay these fees basically, but we do it in a way where the savings make sense. So as you indicated, sir, at current rates, it doesn't make sense. I guess I've been struggling since this was first agendized for our previous meeting. At what point is it worth kind of paying the holders of the yachts to help us save our taxpayers money? If the fees are anywhere close to the amount of the savings, then it doesn't really make sense to me, even if that's averaged out into the process. I guess I'm not really asking because this is kind of an inappropriate question for you, but to me, I would like to see the fees basically be at least a 1-to-4 ratio to the amount of savings we can get. And that's mostly to my colleagues. And just, a topic for conversation is when we're doing this, we have to recognize that it's a financial instrument. People are making money off this. And, no disrespect to you at all. I appreciate it if you can help us save the taxpayers money. But we need to make sure that we as a board who are doing this action do it in a way that makes sense. Because we're not going to do it. I guess I will go actually back to your mortgage refinance. On a personal level, I could save a little bit of money maybe as rates are falling if I refinance my house once every 6 months. But tons of processing fees are being chewed up in the process. So I want to make sure we do it at the exact right time. Mm-hmm. And I do think it does make sense to do it based on the materials you provided. If there's a way for us, if we approve this action, because I do think it is a prudent action, to kind of set a level, I would like to do that tonight.
Thank you, Member Kayada. Member Pritchett.
Can you tell me if there's an impact on our credit rating to the district by this?
On the credit rating? I would say there'd be no impact. It'd be negligible. In theory, it's going to lower the amount of debt service, but relatively speaking, it's a pretty small amount compared to all of the district's bonds.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other board comment? None. Seeing that there's none, do we have a motion to approve? No. Do you have a motion to approve?
So I would move that we approve to proceed if the amount of projected savings, I'm just going to say 3 times to give us some flexibility. If the estimated savings are at least 3 times the cost of the fixed costs in refunding the bonds. That would be my suggested motion.
That is the motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion on the floor? You'll second his motion? Okay, so there's a motion and a second. We are going to have a student preferential. Okay, there would like to be some discussion on the motion. Thank you for tapping in. Member Jean, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I don't really know what I want to discuss, but I'm not ready to make that decision. I need information. What are the consequences, the unintended consequences? What do we start running into if that's not what's being proposed here? Are we negotiating, and who's doing the negotiating? What are we asking of staff? I need information before I can make that decision.
Well said. We're gonna go to Member Phillips.
So I do understand what Member Jean is saying. So, I mean, if it's something that we're going to be getting frequent updates as to the market or however the money is stuck, because I am not, you guys are kind of on your own planet, but if something is very clear where someone is watching it and we're getting reports that say, now is a good time, or now is a good time, like, is that how this would work? If we were to set it up so that we would know when that opportune time would be?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if I could jump in. Well, I would say part of our role is monitoring, what is our clients' refinancing opportunities. So that is something we would monitor. We would come to district administration and say, this is what the savings look like now based on current interest rates. And ultimately, of course, it is their decision whether or not to proceed with actually selling the bonds and doing the refinancing. But if this does not proceed, then the idea is on the shelf and there's no cost to the district. So it does give you flexibility in that regard where there's no downside if it doesn't work, if interest rates continue to climb. But you do have the ability to go forward if interest rates drop. So that is something we would be in communication with to the district in terms of what the savings look like given the current market conditions.
So is there a reporting schedule, or it is you are watching the market and when that time appears, you are going to alert us at that time? So, I mean, if we're going to make the right decision, we'd like to be able to follow that with you. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious as to how frequently it'd be reported out to us.
Yeah, I think oftentimes we continually monitor it, and we can report regularly to the district and say, this is what the savings look like at that time.
Okay, it's a trust issue. You know what I mean? But I mean, I wouldn't think that you'd want a bigger yacht. So, all right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And actually, before we go to the next speaker, we're gonna have also somebody from our finance department come up to answer specific questions. I also want to be very clear to our members of the boards here. We are not trying to make sure that we're not negotiating from the dais. That's not what we are here to do. But asking good questions and making sure that we're following through on those is appropriate. So if you would come up as well, and then we'll go to Member Kayada.
Well, actually, I was going to ask if you would come up. Is what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you.
Any thoughts on it, I guess?
Member
Just 'cause I don't
Kayada,
wanna-
yes,
yeah.
and members of the board, thank you, President Rhodes. What I hear you saying is, I think that, of course, there are fees associated with any sort of issuance or refunding. And especially when you're looking at a refunding, what is the net benefit to the district? And so balancing the fees, which are a cost no matter what, to the variable benefit of the total refunding. And so what I'm hearing you say is, when we first looked at this information and where the rates were, as Mr. Crump provided, it was a much more favorable opportunity for the district at that time. But over the course of the weeks that have passed, of course, with the market, it has become a less favorable opportunity at this time. And so, again, what I'm hearing you say is, we are interested in this as long as the benefit meets a certain threshold. And if the benefit is not at that threshold, then why would we engage in this? And of course, that is at the discretion of the board's decision. I think, as Mr. Crump is presenting, and this is the conversation that we have been having in preparation for this meeting, is that as our fiscal advisor, most certainly Dale Scott and Associates is watching the market on a regular basis. They are looking out for our benefit, and we are here tonight seeking your authority to move forward. But we have discussed that this might not be the best time, and so I think there's a decision point where you can give us authority and say, we give you authority, but we want to know the benefit. It needs to meet this threshold before you move forward. Or perhaps you want us to just wait until we get to a point where that benefit threshold is already there, and then we can come back and have that conversation. I think, to Mr. Crump's point, coming back to the board, the market varies a lot, and coming back to the board is a timely endeavor, depending upon where the market is. And I hope I'm answering your question, but I do hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily hear you negotiating from the dais, but rather just trying to set a water line where you're comfortable with the benefit that a refunding might offer to the taxpayers.
Thank you. I love it when someone can summarize me better than I said it myself. So
thank you for that.
That is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to negotiate anything. I am trying to basically set. So actually, what I would like to do tonight, because we've seen so much fluctuation in the market, we have to be able to go when the time is right. And so I would like to authorize this tonight with action, but set basically a guardrail. Because to me, it's important to be able to talk to voters and say, it's important that I save you money on these bonds, because I know I'm going to be asking you for more bonds, but also I'm saving you money, but I'm also not using these bonds as a way to just get people not in Sacramento rich, right? And again, that's really nothing for you, or I'm sure many of your compatriots. I'm really talking about people in Manhattan. And I hope you're not from Manhattan. I feel like you're from San Francisco. Okay. Okay, but so that really was my motion, is to say, go ahead, and we're authorizing you to do it when the time is right. And to me, the time is right when the ratio is like 1 to fees, 3 to savings. That's my motion.
So Member Kayada, just for clarity, you're saying your motion was to authorize this move to when the market is most favorable for the district. Then you also said that your favorable for the district is this. So are you giving them the leeway to choose when it's favorable for the district, or is your motion when it meets what you feel is favorable for the district? That is my question to you, sir.
So I very much trust our staff to make that call. I think I am setting a threshold that I think is comfortable, but if the rest of the board does not want to put a specific number on it, if we want to just have this, if you agree with my intent, and that can be kind of the direction we give to staff, but then we'd approve it as is, I would be comfortable with that.
I think I personally agree with your intent, and then I also agree with our staff having the leeway to visualize and view the markets to be able to make that move when they best see it fit. That's my thought. The floor is still yours, though, sir. What's your motion?
Well, so I have a second. I guess I would be willing to just go back to approving as is if my second is amenable to that. It sounds like the parameters I'm discussing are something we don't want to get into that detail.
You are his second, sir.
I still have my button to speak.
We're going to get there.
So,
we got you. I just wanted, because he's
well,
still
I need to
motion on the
address,
floor.
I need to be
Motion
very
on the
clear
floor.
that I obviously, legally speaking, I definitely am not sitting up here negotiating as well, right? I want to make that clear. I heard it as a guardrail, and I appreciate you explaining the process and where we're at right now. So I'm good with the intent being guardrails. That's what we're talking about here. I'm not good with us giving that level of direction. We want to make sure we trust you all, and we look to you to help us make those financial decisions, which is why you're here. You join the staff. So however we can move forward with that intent of guardrails, I'm happy to move forward with that and offer that.
Okay, so it sounds like what your motion is, you have a second, my good sir, from the southwest side of the city.
So my motion, if the second still stands, is to approve the action as presented, and the direction is informal.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have student preferential?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Okay, and superintendent?
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada. Member
Aye.
Phillips.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I'm not sure how to answer that, because it sounds like we're voting to move forward, but we did have a somewhat of a discussion in which we said that we could possibly bring this back at the right time. And Ms. Marking said, because I'm in the middle of this, because you guys think, when you guys move too fast, I stop and
That's
start
fine.
asking questions, I'm
Feel
sorry.
free.
So you said after.
So what I offered is, if you aren't comfortable giving us the authority right now to make the decision, we could, of course, bring it back to you when we feel like it is a more favorable market. What I'm hearing you say is at least the conversation seems like you're voting on giving us the authority now to make the decision. And in all transparency, Mr. Crump and I have been in conversation that we share your interest in ensuring that this is maximally beneficial to the district and to taxpayers. We agree this is not the best time, and so we are observing the market to ensure that we are able to jump when the timing is right.
So if it's okay, can I proceed to give you my vote?
Yes, ma'am.
My vote is aye.
Okay, thank you.
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and we are making great time comparatively to what our agenda says tonight. So this next portion we've had is a superintendent search firms. We're gonna have an open conversation around it. We have our three firms, which is Leadership Associates, Jacob McPherson, and Alma. And so what we want to do today is have a discussion. I've had conversations with board members. I know that there's some trepidation around some of this, but we want to have an open and honest discussion today to see how we move forward with our possible search firms.
President Rhodes, we do have one public comment on this.
Okay, when we'll get there.
You wanna wait?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Before we kind of go through and I see some members are already in the queue. Before we go through, we'll have our public comments speak, and then we'll have board discussion around the topic. For my colleagues, this is just an open discussion, more free-flowing around your thoughts, so how we move forward, okay? So we'll take that first public comment.
Nikki Malevsky.
Hello, Nikki. Thank you for staying with us so long.
You know, it's always so fun to be at a school board meeting. Thanks. Thanks for the good times. But the last 6 years were not good times for our district. And it was Leadership Associates that brought us that superintendent. Jorge Aguilar had no business being interviewed for a large urban school district. I mean, no business being interviewed. He ran one little silo down in Fresno, and Leadership Associates put him in the interview mix for our large urban school district, and we suffered for 6 years under that. It makes me sick to my stomach that we would trust that group to search for a superintendent for us. So I beg you to really think carefully about this process and who we trust to search, because it makes all the difference to our students and to our school district as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have
No others.
no others? Okay. Board colleagues, hop in the queue if you have any conversation. I see Member Jean's here. We'll start it off with Member Jean.
I move to table this conversation until January or February.
Okay. That's one motion on the table.
Do I have a second?
I have a second for that.
You're second here with Ms.
May I speak to my motion?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So they have the motion and the second on the table. I see everybody still pondering here. And so as she speaks to her motion, please consider what she's saying as you ponder your thoughts and concerns. Once again, we want this to be an open discussion for everyone to be able to mix. Feel free.
I believe that the work that we are doing through the listening sessions, which we haven't actually mentioned yet in this meeting, but we're in the middle of, we've had 2 listening sessions, we have 5 more coming. We've been reaching out to community partners, and that needs to be our focus. And until those listening sessions are complete, having a conversation about what leader would be guiding us through the next phases of our district doesn't really make sense in my head. The current plan is we do our listening sessions, and in that we hear from the community the vision and the values and what their passion is for our education for our students and what students are able to know and be able to do. We then as a board are tasked with reading through all that info and considering all those conversations to reshape and redevelop our goal, our vision, the guardrails around all of those pieces. We then will use that to determine how do we hire somebody? Who is that person going to be that will best help us achieve those goals? We then put together an evaluation system to ensure that they are being held accountable to the goals that we've put together based on what the community did. So for us to, at this point, even talk about the hiring of somebody when we haven't done steps 1 and 2 makes no sense to me. So I would like to table this conversation until at minimum January, preferably February. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second, but do we have any other board comment around the topic from anyone? Do you have your hand up or? Okay, she's thinking. We're gonna let her think real quick. Okay, Member Phillips.
I do have concerns about delaying us having a search firm available. And that's only because I have seen delays previously in how we've gotten started. To your point, it does make sense. We need to be ready before we have someone who can find the person who's going to work in our district with us and for our students. But I'm worried about if we wait until February, how long it might take for us to actually get to that vote finally so that we can even start. Like at that point, we've had a number of delays already. And I don't feel comfortable putting it off until January or December. I'm sorry, January or February. But my other question would be, I am not 100% sure exactly if we hire them now, are we paying them, and then our delays are going to have us paying them even more while they wait for us to get ready. Do you see what I'm saying? So, is that delay going to be cost prohibitive? We're going to be paying them while they wait for us to get to that point. I really would like somebody to respond to me on that.
That is a good question that I don't have the answer to, so that's why I'm not responding. Okay, so I'm interested in hearing actually from a senior member of the board about her experience when hiring someone and the time it took, because I think that can kind of speak towards Member Phillips' kind of concerns But Member Pritchett, if I could bend your knowledge base a little bit around superintendent searches and what that actually would look like and the time it takes when you're hiring someone on.
It's a pretty lengthy process. I mean, from the time that you hire a search firm, it really depends on the search firm and then the plan from the search firm and then doing community meetings and then going through the interview process. It's probably between a 3 to 5 month process, I would say.
5 months.
Mm-hmm. It really depends on the search firm and the process, I would say.
Okay. Okay. So, and then I'm not from what I have seen. I don't know if we actually will be paying them still. I figure if we hire them on, we'd be paying them. But I also would figure, and I'm not sure, but I also figure that if we were to get into contract with them, it's with any of these firms, and then we would say, hey, our start date is we want to start in January. We would have them to be able to start in January if we were talking about those things. But yeah, I have member Singh in the queue.
So actually, all three firms gave us timelines.
Mhm.
So if we look back at the timelines, we would have to, I would actually ask that we
Those timelines.
continue the conversation at our upcoming board meetings. I don't feel comfortable tabling it that far. I would rather we maybe all need to take a look at that timeline. All three gave us timelines on when things would start. So my only concern is if we want a superintendent in place by the next school year, which is the intention of this board, my question is, would January or February be too late to get to the point where we go through the process of reviewing, doing initial reviews, getting to the interview process, and getting everything done by the summer? That's just open thoughts, ideas. I'm not against the fact that we need to get through the listening sessions. I'm more interested in how listening sessions that are ongoing will affect the search firm that we choose, because at the end of the day, these are listening sessions. We're gathering data, and I would assume that the data is going to be gathered. At the end of the day, we still have to make a decision on who takes that data and helps us formulate a plan on how to use this information to start searching for somebody. That's just an out loud question. If someone can do it quickly once we're done, that's fine. But I know that literally almost 2 months ago, we had them in here and they presented timelines. So I would just like us to revisit those timelines. We would have to ask those folks to revise their timelines. I don't want to say come back in January or February and we say yes to you. We're going to have to ask them to represent.
And I remember those timelines were also flexible based on the need of the district as well. So while they gave us potential timelines from where they were at then, that those are all flexible as well. We have member Villa in the queue.
As we've heard from our community members, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but Rhodes and I did also host the McClatchy. This is one of the biggest decisions as a board member that we can do. So I do not feel comfortable rushing a process that will make such an impact. And we've talked about in this board that we want to make a change. And so this is the right way to do it, and really doing the work and spending the time to figure out our process and dig into what our community is asking from us and do it right. Last week, we had the opportunity of speaking with board members from all across the country, and across the board consensus discussing the superintendent search was, do not rush that process. Do the work, spend time with your board, find out the goals of your community, and then take that next step, because it is so critical that you do it right. Because if you don't, it's on you. And we all have to own this operation, and we need to really take the time to not just put it in because of a timeline. We only have a December meeting, So I'd rather use that time to continually talk to our community and talk to our labor partners, to our staff, to different families, and say, what are you wanting from us? Because this is our job as a board member to hire the right person moving forward. So you can't rush this process. It's too big of a component of our district and being a board that's going to function effectively moving forward for Sacramento.
All right, and now we're going to Member Kayada.
So we have overlapping timelines on different initiatives that we're engaged in right now. And we have dropped the ball on meeting our own timelines, which has put us into this situation. We have already been working with the Council of Great City Schools on what's been described here, which is basically developing goals and guardrails for the district before we hire a superintendent. And yet we're like at least a month behind on that process, which means that the timeline we had expected for this is not possible if we're going to continue to meet that. I've also talked to a lot of board members in other districts, and I've been observing boards who've lost superintendents either because they fired them or the superintendent's left. And my big takeaway is you want to have time to pick a superintendent. You don't want to be forced to pick a superintendent. I'm trying to ask this in a way that's not really awkward, but it's, our acting superintendent has agreed to be with us for the school year. If we're going to change the timeline, it's inappropriate to do that from the dais, and I'm not going to ask her that on the dais. That doesn't, so I don't know if we can delay, because we need to start having a plan in place, and if we're going to use a firm to do that, we need to engage with the firm. And if we reach out, if we have staff talk to the firm and say, hey, this is where the board is, they want to finish getting their goals, it'll take them a month or two, and then they're going to go, does that timeline work for you? And if they say yes, at least we've then engaged them. It seems like from the previous meeting we had that people were leaning towards hiring Alma. As I read their materials, and I've read them again in preparation for this meeting, it seems like they would be supportive of our efforts in that manner. They don't have a regimented timeline. And if we're going to go with Alma, I would rather start talking to them now and seeing if it makes sense, if they would support us on that journey. But I don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden we have no superintendent, and then we're making a rush decision.
Thank you, Member Kayada. And I'm not sure if the consensus of the board has been on any one individual group. So just a FYI, I don't believe that the board has talked and have a consensus around which way we're going. So just clear for everyone out there. Member Phillips.
I'm not even sure what to say at this point. I think what it is we need to rally our own troops, which is the 7 of us up here, on how we make sure we get done what we need to get done. So, Member Kayada said it gently. I think I walked around it, but we have to get on the ball. So what we are not doing, we've just started working together. We've missed a number of major deadlines, and now we're wanting to put something on hold when those who are at fault is us as a collective. So, if we can truly appreciate the fact that this is the most important job that we will most likely do as members of this board, to recognize that, yes, we have day jobs, yes, we got kids, we're busy, husbands, wives, but the deadlines, very simple deadlines, communication with one another, those are things that we need to be focused on so that we can get things done. And most likely I've been at the receiving end of a lot of the delays, so maybe they've bothered me more, but we have dropped the ball a number of times to where we're now sitting here wanting to put this off until next year, when I don't trust as much that we will stick to what we need to do so that we can even begin in January or February with hiring a firm. That's my concern. And that's just what I've seen and what I have experienced here on this board, is that we got to pull ourselves together so that we can get this done. So it's not that we're missing, or we want to talk about who is who. That's not it. We need to make sure that we understand what we are supposed to be doing right now. And I think we can do more than one thing at the same time. I just believe that we need to start doing, you know, a little bit more and maybe be a little bit more efficient in how we even respond to one another and how we get things done. I just don't want to wait forever because I'm still concerned about our ability to complete the process. Each process along the way has been problematic.
Okay, thank you, Member Phillips. Member Segura.
I think that talking to the community is an extremely important step in this process and understanding what the families of the district want from this. But I also think that we can keep in mind, if I'm remembering correctly on the timeline for some of those firms, they did have steps where they wanted to talk directly to the community of the district. So that step would still be covered, though not directly from the listening sessions that are currently going on. So if this is a major concern, which I believe that it is of importance to make sure that those voices are carried through, you can keep those in mind when making your personal voting decision towards which firm you do lean towards. I think that it would be helpful to try to keep on that on that track of hiring this firm on a steady pace.
Thank you, Member Segura. And then we have Member Jean.
I have the same concerns that Taylor and Gracie brought up, which is what led me to actually the decision I proposed, which is tabling this, because I want us to go through the listening session process. I want us to figure out how the 7 of us work together, start pulling in the same direction, which is just not happening right now. And so this idea that we've already been working with one group and now we're going to hire another group from these 3, when we're still not pulling together and they're somehow going to help us pull together, I'm not trusting that yet. I want us to go through the listening session process. I want us to gather all of that info and have a tough conversation around how do we use what the community has told us? How did the 7 of us come to a consensus on the vision and the values, the core things that guide what happens in our district, to the goals that we set, the guardrails we put into place? The work we will do together in that process, I think, will empower us to be able to make better decisions. But rushing to hire somebody right now when we're still in the space we are, I'm just not convinced that is the right step. Am I worried about timeline? Yes. Have I already started having conversations about that? Yes. I was surprised to see this on the agenda because I thought we were having some behind the table conversations. I'm not right now able to say I want to hire any of the 3 that we got. And I really don't want to have a conversation about why, but if you're interested in, I will explain to you why every single one of them concerns me. So I don't know what to do when I'm sitting here going, we've got a board that is still figuring out how to pull together. We've got a timeline of June 30th with our current superintendent, who, by the way, I have the utmost confidence in our current leadership and the direction that we are currently heading, which is why I am not stressing about us as a board. We need to start pulling together, and nothing else can go right until we do that. Because of that timeline, because of where we are, sorry, I distracted myself and talked out of it. I had one last point to say. I don't like sitting here going, I don't see a single person out there that I'm confident can help us do this better than the 7 of us figuring it out together. So I don't want to hire someone else that will tell us what to do. They don't have it figured out. We're the heroes we've been waiting for. Let's figure it out together, and we don't need to hire somebody yet. Let's have the conversation in January. They all had 3 to 5 month timelines. If we're hiring someone in January or February, 3 to 5 months puts us in May or June, we're fine.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go to Member Phillips.
My mic's off. So I hear you. Say you're set to deliver a baby. Baby's due in 4 months. Do you wait until the baby is born before you hire the sitter? Or do you hire the sitter on the ready? And that's what I'm thinking that we should also be thinking about with hiring a firm. But you are correct. We need to learn how to work together, but I don't want the delays. And just to be very clear, email comes to you with information, answer what's in the email. Like, it's that simple. You know, the necessity to ask questions and, you know, whatever level of concern you might have with your, you know, executive board members, whatever that is, we know we have a job to do. It doesn't have anything to do with us personally. It has to do with what we are doing for these students here at our district. And, you know, and I'm just going to talk about it now, a lot of the pushback that I seem to have gotten in trying to communicate with my fellow board members on how we even get started caused a delay of approximately 2 months. And I don't need that to happen anymore. As a member of your executive board, or just as your colleague who's sitting here, some lady who lives around the corner in Oak Park, I need us to understand that none of this is about us personally, but I understand that we're all still learning and we have questions, but what we need to do is not challenge what a person is doing. And that is what I have encountered so much during us getting this started, that the delay it has caused has put me, you know, in a huge vat of concern as to whether or not a delay is going to be good for us to make the decisions we need to make. So, and I'm just going to say it again, if I send an email, I don't want a lot of extra questions. I don't need that. So, and I think some of our delays is maybe I don't know, backed up a little bit on the mothering or the micromanaging or whatever that was. But if I'm being questioned in something very simple as asking y'all to take an action, make a move, get some motion, and it comes back with questions, that will slow down our process, and it has. We have a board coach. We have a board coach who's frustrated with us because we are not getting done what we need to get done. So, yes, I'm saying what I need to say, and this is our meeting, and I realize the community is probably listening, but that's something that they probably need to know, is that, yes, Member Jean, we are still trying to figure out one another. And until we figure out one another, the question is, do we put so much on hold that we don't get things done when we need to get them done? So, like I said, I usually talk and people don't answer, but I really want to hear input from my colleagues.
Thank you. We're going to go to Member Kayada.
So to answer Member Phillips' question, I think we have achieved a certain level of communication that is workable for now. We have a lot to work on with ourselves, and that's not going to happen between now and January. So I don't think that will be the reason we should do this or not. I think, to me, the decision is, will this interfere with our work with AJ and the community listening sessions? I don't think it will. I think we can do both at the same time. And I don't know if anyone else is in the queue, but I think we should vote on Tara's motion to see where we are at. And if we want to talk about the firm, if people agree with Tara that we shouldn't talk about it now, then we'll just stop. But if we don't agree with her, then let's get into it.
Okay, so there's no one left in the queue. So what we'll do is there's a motion on the floor to bring this back and table it for January, February. Would you be clear about the January or February?
No, I was leaving it open.
Okay, can we do January? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for January, and then there's a second for that. And so what we'll do is we will have student preferential.
Nay.
And Superintendent?
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Nay.
Member Phillips.
No.
Member Pritchett. Member Singh.
No.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
So I'm actually pretty torn here because one of the things is I do want to move forward. I actually think January is kind of far off, but I do believe that December would make sense. So to Member Jean's motion, I would say no, and with the turn of saying, I would make a motion to bring it in December. I just want to do it earlier. So that's the motion on the table. If there's a second, so Member Jean's motion doesn't pass, and I'm actually making a motion if we can bring it in December. If there's a second, there's a second there. Okay, and so there's a first and a second, student preferential.
Aye.
Huh? Oh, okay, that's true. I'm trying to move it, man. I'm sorry. So before you give your student preferential, we do have a comment from Member Phillips.
December is no different than January if we still don't have our stuff together. And I do understand that we have managed to have a number of ways to communicate that has perhaps made it work better. But I know that I'm, again, talking to myself, but December is not going to make a difference. We need to be on the ready so that when we finish the listening sessions and we gather our information and we have our guidelines and our can't even remember what they're called now, when we have that set up, then we will be ready to proceed. I don't want to take baby steps, and I don't want to rush the process either. But I want you guys to understand that we have a job to do that is important. And in order for us to do that, you have to line up how you're going to do it. Right now, we're focused on community listening. And when we finish community listening sessions, are we going to have another delay? Y'all say no? I have doubts. But if that is not the case, and we have things already, we've collected our information, we have our goals and our guardrails, and we're ready to go, then we already have a search firm. I just don't feel comfortable with finishing a process, stopping, and then starting a new process and not feeling comfortable with that happening as quickly as it should and efficiently as it should. So I don't really think that moving toward December is what we should do. I think that if we have those cards in play now, then when we're ready, gives us time to actually move at that point than having to start a new process. We had do your homework is one of those mantras that y'all keep saying. Do your homework, do your homework. I got the requests, I read the requests, I was like, I'm ready, we've got our assignments, we have to all be as ready as I feel like I am to pull that firm in this evening so that they are ready when we're ready. Because if we are slow to get ready, it's going to put a pause on those folks getting ready for us. We have a board coach. We need to utilize this board coach to our full potential. We are not doing what we should with our board coach because we have had significant delays. So I know that we're working right now on getting a lot of things done and communicating, but this is a decision that I think that we can make this evening. December is not going to make a difference.
So let me explain my my December for you. Through listening to everyone tonight, Member Jean kind of spoke about wanting to make sure we went through the listening session process, and this December date gives us that. We'll be done with our listening sessions. We'll be able to have our board retreat and conversation with our superintendent. We're around giving us, figuring out our priorities, those 4 priorities, guardrails, and goals for our community. So the board will have that time to have those discussions and kind of go in depth a little bit, and really push out all of the things that we really want to see and have those tough conversations. That will give us the opportunity to do that. And then we can have the conversation in our meeting in December. And then we can be able to be confident as a board that we're going to move forward. Right now, we have a pretty even split on both sides. But I think that this compromise gives us the ability to address some of the concerns from our colleagues while still moving forward with the work that we're doing simultaneously. And I'm just literally taking in consideration how everybody is feeling in this space. And I think, once again, our December date would be perfect because it addresses all of those things while not belaboring into January and February. So once again, that is mine. I have colleagues here that we're gonna hop in. So I have a first and a second, and I'll listen to the colleagues here real quick, and then we'll go into the vote and see if it goes through. All right, Member Kayada.
First, I gotta say, I love it when I agree 100% with Gracie, because she says it so much better than I ever do, so thank you. In terms of the compromise, I don't think splitting the baby always works. Sometimes you just end up with a split baby.
What?
It's like a metaphor. I don't think December works, and I'll tell you why. We have one board meeting in December, December 14th. If we wait to do it then, we still need to meet with whatever search firm we're going to work with. We're going to do that over the holidays? I don't think so. We're going to be in January. And then we're going to be finally at the end of January, early February, even having the search firm understand what we're looking for and start reaching out to community. We're putting it out. I think if we're going to go with a firm, we need to start talking to them now, because there's going to be a ramp-up period to even get working with them that we can do while we listen to the community on these other sessions, so that the search firm is ready to go as soon as these conversations with the community are over. And we can simultaneously work together with our board coach on setting our goals and guardrails while the community sessions that the search firm is doing are happening. So I think the two things do work well together. And I think a delay is going to push us out too far. I think we're going to be not doing anything until the new year if we wait till December.
So, so you do understand that, maybe it will change, but how the votes here look is there's 3 people who want to go tonight, and there was 3 people who wanted to go in January. No one has a clear agreement. Maybe through these conversations, people will be swayed. But what I still present is still something that I believe can get possibly the votes for at least get us moving forward, because right now there's nothing moving forward. And once again, there might be persuasion and conversation, which I'm up for, and my colleagues will have to say, but we do want to get moving, and we do want to make sure we move forward. And what everybody's proposing right now, there's stagnation in the process, and we're just trying to move that forward. So, Member Pritchett.
I just want to say that I just have concerns that we need to work this process of working through the listening sessions, because we, like the rest of the board said, we can't even commit to all these meetings that we're trying to get through these. And then before we get to the part of getting through the superintendent search, this is a big commitment, huge commitment. And so we can't even get through this part of the listening sessions before we get to the next part. So I think we got to concentrate on the first part. We still got to work together on getting board workshops together of learning how to work together. Then on this part. So.
All in due time.
Yeah.
All in due time.
That's a big part of a board working together.
No, 100%.
Huge part of a board working together.
And once again,
before we started working on a superintendent search.
And one of the things is, for community members, when we say board working together, we're not saying board agrees on everything.
No, not at all.
Our difference of
That's
opinion and the people that we represent is important. That's why these conversations are rich. And that's why Member Jean, Executive Committee, outvoted by myself, just wanted to have this on because it's an important conversation to have and to have it in open. So once again, we're almost done. Then we're gonna go to my colleagues to the right of me, Member Singh.
So I also want to speed this along, but I want to say that it's important to let the community know that, of course, we're not going to agree on everything. I'm also not so worried about moving us in the same direction as much as I'm worried about us having the type of discussions that allow someone to persuade or to guide or to convince somebody to start moving in a set direction. At the same time, we're up here in public talking about how we need to work together and do governance stuff. I'm still very concerned about us putting an onus on a search firm to help us do any of that. We have a board coach, that's who should be guiding us through this process. The search firm is a search firm. If we have concerns about which search firm we want to go with, that's perfectly fine. If none of those three are vibing with folks, that's perfectly fine too. I thought the whole point is we've delayed this twice. So that day, the night of it, we told them to go home. We're not going to decide tonight. Then we delayed again because we were asking for more time to review. And now we're here. And I don't even think the whole point of this conversation was to vote. It was to have a conversation and discussion, which is what it's led to. I wish we could have spent a little bit more time discussing our thoughts on the organizations because we were not going to vote tonight. We were just going to have an open conversation.
It was action.
And it could lead to that, but it also could not have led to that. So all I'm saying is I'm okay with whatever the process is. I just do believe that we have 5 more sessions to go. I don't think we're going to have all the data in front of us in the next week or 2 weeks. So if we're going to move to December, we better be having another discussion in 2 weeks about what the data says. And if we're able to, I would be okay with us possibly bringing it up to move it quicker than December if the data exists. If we're saying we're looking for data, that's all I'm looking for to make a decision if that's a decision that's holding us back. I'm not looking for us to go anything beyond the data. This whole conversation about how all of us need to function, the search firm is not here to tell us how to function. That's our board coach and that's our work. So I don't want us to correlate search firm to the work that we need to do. So I'm okay with delaying it to whatever we all delay it to slightly, but only if we agree that if we get the data by next week, by our next board meeting, for example, then we need to have an honest discussion in front of the public about what we think about that data. And if we can move on action that week, we should move on action in 2 weeks.
So the data information, we should be done. And I think we're looking at, what was the dates that we're looking at? I think the late November, we're looking at actually trying to get back together to talk about with, and I know that Danielle is going to be sending out some information and talking with board members to see, but we want to make sure that we're getting together with our superintendent and having the conversations. Like Member Jean says that it is very important to have those around our goals, guardrails, and priorities for our communities through the listening sessions, and then it gives us ample amount of time to be able to say, like, and when the superintendent search firm goes out and tries to find people, we already have these things lined up. And so, once again, I would like to go ahead and get to the voting, and if you guys vote down my proposal, that is fine. We can have another proposal. But, like, literally, I think we've done a lot of persuading back and forth, and I would love to get to a vote. But we have disappeared. Okay, so I would like to get to a vote. Once again, there was the motion was to come back in December around this picking a search firm with the idea and goal that we would already have done our listening sessions. We already have our retreat with Superintendent Allen to really go dive deep into the information and set our board priorities and guardrails based on what we talked about in the community so that we can pick a search firm in December that can lead us to help us get our possible new superintendent. I have a first and a second. We have a student preferential.
Aye.
Aye. Superintendent?
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
No.
Member Phillips?
No.
Member Pritchett? Member Rhodes,
Aye.
Member Singh,
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you guys for the robust conversation. I hope that everyone enjoyed. Okay, going to item number 12.1, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Rhodes. This school year is off to a great start. It feels like we've just started, but it's now November, and it's cooler weather reminds us that winter is just around the corner. I'd like to begin my remarks tonight by asking our Sac City Unified School District community to please help us with our jacket drive at Cerna Center through November the 10th. Bring your new or gently used coats for elementary through high school students to the front desk, where you will find a large blue bin to place your donation. Our Student Support and Health Services team will make sure to get these jackets to students and families most in need. Thank you for supporting students this winter. The Sac City School District High School Specialty Program application window officially opened on Monday and will run through Friday, November 17th. Sac City Unified offers 31 specialty programs at our neighborhood and small specialized high schools, and families can use our School Finder tool to learn about the different specialty programs available throughout our district. On our website, families can easily sort through schools using filters or the map, and then search a school to view their programs, supports, pathways, advanced placement classes, clubs, activities, and athletic offerings. And speaking of athletics, I'd like to congratulate our fall student athletes on their playoff success. The West Campus girls golf team won this year's CIF San Joaquin Section Division IV Championships. Congratulations. Also in girls golf, Samantha Tom of Kennedy High School qualified as an individual for the CIF San Joaquin Girls Golf Masters Tournament. In addition to CIF, I'd like to highlight Miwok Middle School boys and girls cross-country teams for winning our Sac City Unified School District cross-country championships. Well done. Finally, I'd like to invite you to Floyd Farms this Saturday for the Food Literacy Center's Harvest Festival from 10 to 1 p.m. The Harvest Festival is a free community event for families featuring a petting zoo, free kids farmers market, live music and student performances, complimentary food and drinks, arts and crafts, garden games, and more, including a visit from our very own Sac City Unified mascot, Crispin. Food Literacy Center has been an incredible partner in our district in the operation of Floyd Farms next to Leah Tata Floyd Elementary. We hope to see you there on Saturday.
Thank you, thank you. And then I'll keep mine brief in respect of time. This Friday, we have a listening session at Burbank High School. So community, please come out. This opportunity to speak directly to your Board of Education around what you want to see different and what are your dreams and goals for our district. Once again, this hasn't been done previously in this way, and we really want to make sure that your voices are involved. Also, you can find on our website and many of the board members' own social media pages around the dates, the times, and we invite all of you to be part. With that being said, we will go to our student member report. Member Segura.
I'll keep mine sort of towards the SAC. We've been doing some outreach to get on to onboard members from schools that we didn't yet have represented. So we have put on board 2 new members from Rosemont High School and 1 member from Hiram Johnson. So we have those voices now, and we're still in the process of trying to hire and onboard other students from the schools that we are currently missing on the SAC. Along with that, we've been working through the data collection of the survey. We have over 1,000 responses so far, which is one of the best outturns that we've had ever. I believe that our previous record was around 1,000. Right now, I think we're at 1,020 something. So we're on a great track. We still have a few weeks until the form closes. So we're getting a lot of really important information from all of the different high schools across the SUSD school district. And we are currently sorting through some of that information and getting the main points so we can start formulating our initiatives that we will be presenting to you guys at the end of this year. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to go into information sharing by board members. If you have anything you want to share, please hop in the queue. And we're going to go to Member Singh.
Thank you. Not to be a downer, but mine's a little heavy, so I'm going to have to say what I got to say. So this month, we're celebrating Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month in California. I'm aware that our next board meeting will be spent bringing light to this recognition, but I also want to note that awareness arises when there's initial unawareness. So today, 39 years ago, the 1984 Sikh genocide was taking place by the Indian government between November 1st and November 6th. Tens of thousands of Sikhs were brutally killed across India. A collective punishment given to the Sikh community, given that on October 31st, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguards after she had ordered an attack on the holiest Sikh shrine, popularly known as the Golden Temple, and 40 other Sikh gurdwaras in June of 1984, which resulted in the murder of over 10,000 Sikhs. It ignited a decade of forced disappearances, genocide, and mass migration of Sikhs to the diaspora, including right here in the United States. In November of 1984, Sikh voter lists were provided to Hindutva mobs, those expressing Hindu nationalism, and government officials explicitly asked that police officers not interfere in the door-to-door ethnic cleansing of Sikhs. In fact, some police officers joined the mobs. Women were sexually assaulted, children were murdered, and Sikh men had tires thrown around their necks and lit ablaze in the streets. To this day, there is no justice that has been provided by the Indian state. The Sikh faith has survived multiple genocides by multiple regimes since its inception. We are also steadfast in our belief that we have a right to self-determination and self-governance. Over the past few weeks, my newsfeed has been filled with images of war, all of which are difficult to see. As someone who's dedicated to education, who sees education as a way out of poverty, crisis, and has lived through that, I'm hurting when I see images of murdered children and their schools reduced to rubble. The learning loss is unimaginable. As descendants of those who have lived, breathed, and continue to endure state-sponsored violence, I know that indiscriminate violence will never solve anything. As a member of the interfaith community, I know that we are strongest when we're united in prayer. I've been reading multiple resources about how to discuss war with children. All of them speak about compassion, focusing on the folks who are helping, and letting them know that there are adults doing everything in their power to solve the issue. I want the students and families of Sac City Unified to know that I am that adult who is doing everything in my power to raise my voice for peace. I want you to know that a better world is possible. With this conflict, we have seen a rise in hate crimes against the Jewish community and the Muslim community here in the United States. There is no room for anti-Semitism. There is no room for Islamophobia. Such hatred tends to move viciously through other communities. The first victim of post-9/11 hate crimes was a Sikh, and this past weekend, a 60-year-old Sikh man was killed in a hate crime in New York City. We all bleed the same, and my heart truly goes out to everyone who has ties to the region, to our Jewish, Muslim, Christian, staff, students, families, and anyone for that matter who holds ties to the region. I'm thinking of you. A recent poll showed that 66% of all Americans, regardless of their political preference, believe there should be a ceasefire. I agree, I support a ceasefire, and I pray for lasting peace and solutions through dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Singh. Do we have anyone else in the queue? Okay, seeing that we have none, we're going to be going to approving the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Oh, we got people. So, Member Kayada.
I would like to pull from item 13.1A, under Technology Department, there is a contract for UC Merced Center for Educational Partnerships.
13.1A. Okay, and then, thank you, and then we have Member Phillips.
And I would like to pull 13.1L, number 1.
13.1L, number 1. Okay, got you. Okay, and so with the pooling of those two items, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing those two items? So moved. Second? Okay, second. Student preferential?
Aye.
Okay.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Member Kayada, your item first. Please go ahead.
Okay, so this item is with our technology department. It's a contract with UC Merced Center for Educational Partnerships for $192,810. I have concerns. I understand that this is a part of our data process and how we assist high schoolers identifying their course needs. But with any contract we make with outside entities, I think the dollars really need to prove their worth to make sure that we don't just have things that are good, but things that are well suited for us. UC Merced Center for Educational Partnerships. This was a place that our former superintendent worked before he came here. He brought it with him. It is a program that is designed for Central Valley students. You look at the map on their website, Sacramento County is not on there. You look at the work that we're doing with them with this contract, and it appears currently we are the only school district working with them. I'm not sure exactly how beneficial this contract is to us, and I would like to look into ways that we can pursue our options. If we're going to work with the college partner, we should be working with local schools. So that's why I pulled this.
Okay, so we'll have a discussion, and I know that before I go to the next member in the queue, I know that we were at, I got to sit in a riveting presentation. Oh, okay. So riveting presentation by Dr. Eldridge there, and and how the utility of what this does. I think Member Jean also sat in it with me, and this was, we were able to show that we are doing more with data integration and how that services our system more than multitudes of school districts. Most school districts that were in that presentation was like, how are you guys doing this and how it impacts? So I've seen the utility of the actual partnership and how it actually is impacting not only our district-wide, but then also our teachers and administrative staff on the ground floor. But I would invite actually Dr. Eldridge to come up and to be able to speak towards that a little bit. And yes, Taylor, you did say, or Member Kaida, you did say how our superintendent brought the initiative, not with him necessarily. I think he started it after he was here. But I would say outside of Superintendent Aguilar bringing something, the utility of how it's used now, it's beyond what Superintendent Aguilar brought, and this is something that actually the staff have built out, and the utility of the staff. So superintendent or not, I don't think that it actually holds weight to what the staff has been able to do with the partnership and what they are actually using it for, and it supersedes Superintendent Aguilar. So Dr. Eldridge, if you can kind of speak towards my colleague from the southwest side of the city about what his concerns are.
Thank you, Board Member Rhodes, President Rhodes, members of the board, and Superintendent Allen. Our experience with UC Merced's Center for Educational Partnership has really allowed us to expand what we do and offer services in a way that I haven't been able to do in my 20-plus years in continuous improvement work in school districts. Although it was initially brought to us by our former superintendent, there's so much that we've done that have made it a Sac City product in partnership, if you will. We've been able to develop an early identification intervention system that is servicing all of our students in our district EK through grade 12. It is deeply integrated in our work. Just to give you some numbers behind that, I pulled some numbers just this past week because I have the ability to look at our usage. And we have 155 individuals in the last 2 months, our counselors and social workers, just in the last 2 months that have accessed our early identification intervention tool over 11,200 times, an average of 70 times per user. Just today, I was doing training at Wilsey Wood Middle School, and as part of our integration was showing them how our teachers are able to access their students' early identification intervention levels. They've never been able to do that before. But now they're getting that every day, and we're giving that information side by side, other information that they're doing. So I have a whole lot I could say, but just to give you a little snippet, one of the things that our partnership is doing that and we don't talk about a lot is our constituent services for our parents and families, right? They are also powering that for us as part of our partnership. And just to give you an idea, our entire constituent services, they're logging over 7,500 times in the system in the last 2 months, for an average of 1,500 per person. Not to mention the FAFSA that's required as part of our state reporting. Again, all of this is, they're doing it as part of the partnership, which is well below. I priced it out because at one point in time, I was wondering, like, what would we do, right, if we would need to divest? It was over $1 million in terms of replacing that work. I have the backup, did a 70-page deal. So I believe we are really getting the bang for the buck. I think we're serving our students really well with this program and this partnership, and I hope that we're able to continue it.
Thank you so much. So the motion on the floor is, now we have a little bit of conversation, but Member Kayada, what is your motion? You pulled it, but do you have a motion?
Well, I would not have a motion then. I would just let it sit if that were my choice.
So I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Do student preferential?
Aye.
Aye. Can we have a roll call vote?
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
No.
Member Phillips? Yes. Member Pritchett? Aye. Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh? Aye. Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, going on to our next item, and was 13.1L. Okay. So this one, we're just going to, do you have a motion?
I guess it's just a motion to put it to a vote. Can't discuss it. It's an expression.
Correct, and it's just number one.
Number one.
Oh, it's number one, okay. So 13.1, and we're going to put it to a vote. So 13.1.
It's expulsion number one.
Yeah, expulsion number one. Yes or no? Okay.
There still needs to be a motion to approve number one, 13.1L, number one.
Motion to approve 13.1. I have a motion. A second? Is there a second? Second? Okay, student preferential.
Abstain.
Okay.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Phillips?
No.
Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
No.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. And now we are on to, I believe, future board meeting dates and locations, November 16th and December 14th. But we, board members, are actually going to adjourn back into closed session. Okay? So, see you guys in closed session.
Almost an hour ahead of time.
Almost. You're so sorry.
No, you don't have to. You have to go back to the closed session. She's like, that's not me, right? I'm done out of here, right?